Howdy, ho ho, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all to the monthly rankings of June 2025. Loon, how are you feeling? We got it's been for me personally, it's been a month of dominance for one game and a lot of little dipping into and out of other games. How are you feeling about your gaming month of June?
Um, hmm. I don't know. I feel like I've stalled big time this year. Do you know when we did our prediction? Not predictions. What was it? The
Goals?
goals thing.
Yeah,
I'm looking back on that. I'm like, you are a fucking fool. What is wrong with you?
every year.
I was like, damn, you overbit so much. It's just one of them years where like the beginning of the year has been so busy with other stuff, so everything
Mhm.
else stalls. Um, yeah, purchases has slowed down significantly compared to previous years. I think as well with last year, the reason I was buying so much as well was because it was the lead up to the 360 store closure. So there
Yeah.
was a lot of 360 games getting grabbed, and now that that's kind of like died down, there's not as much of a there's a worry to get some of these games. And I'm glad I got a lot of them when I did, because when I've been looking around to pick up some outliers and stuff like that, you're looking at full price day one release like games nowadays for a lot of them, and it's just like Jesus Christ, these things were like going for like £2 a pop like a year and a half ago. Like what on earth is going on?
Yeah. I've been really thinking about that a lot as well, just in terms of the financial aspect of it, where it's like, dude, I, yesterday I bought a pizza and a dessert from Domino's, and it was damn near $40. I'm like, bro, something's got to give. And so yeah, we'll kind of get into that. I guess we can go ahead and sort of begin getting into that. But with Death Stranding 2, if you want to begin the ranking there with Death Stranding 2, um, I I guess I should plug first. We got Patreon and YouTube membership. Patreon,
Man,
YouTube memberships.
masterful link. Saved it.
They're available right now if you want to go and support us on Patreon or become a YouTube member. The first exclusive video that's available is my top 10 albums of all time ranked, and it's like an hour long video with a lot of editing, some good production value, some good clips in there, some you I don't have to worry about being demonetized, so I got like actual clips of the songs in there and shit. So yeah, it's a good time. If you want to support the channel, go and check that out. And Loon and I are also going to be doing a future of Game and Ramble, kind of discussing our hopes, dreams, fears for the future of Game and Ramble. That'll be exclusive over on Patreon and for YouTube members as well. So go check that stuff out if it sounds appealing to you. So, Death Stranding 2. I well, let me get it out the way immediately to say it is definitely better than the first game. Death
Okay.
Stranding 2 is without a doubt better than Death Stranding 1. I played about 10 hours of Death Stranding 1. I put about 5 or so hours into Death Stranding 2. It's better without a doubt, but it is still Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And if you did not like Death Stranding 1, you will not like Death Stranding 2. I kind of just had this thing where I was like, when people are talking about game of the year level games, I just want to play them. I want to see what the hype is about. I want to see, like, is there any way, shape, or form I can get into this if I wasn't into the first one? Like, I don't know. I'm just always going to be a slightly curious person. I like, I'm never satisfied with one thing. I want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, it's just especially with games, I know we're going to be doing our game of the year predictions and all this, that, and the other. And it's like, if that's going to be one of the final six, I want to have something to say about it. I remember with Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2 one year, they were both nominated and they were both digital only. So I didn't buy either of them. And I was sitting there and I'm like, I had nothing to say about two of the six games that were nominated. And I think there might have been one other. And it was just, I felt like I don't know. I'm always in my head nonstop about fucking everything. I live 99% of my life inside of my head and 1% of my life actually living life. But um Death Stranding 2, you immediately out the gate, it seemed like Sony was like, dude, fucking show these people that there's a game to be played here. And so like out the gate, you're getting, combat sequences. It was just immediately you get your motorcycle an hour into the game. Like it's immediately showing you, yes, you're going to have fun in this video game. It's not just package delivery after package delivery. And it is that. Like what the opening is so damn strong. And I was like, oh, I'm in. I am in. This is what the game's going to be. And then about 3 hours in or so, it's like, no, chill out a little bit. You're back to delivering packages and talking to holograms. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right. This is Death Stranding. I'm out. And so I put about, 4 or 5 hours into it and I just bounced out of it. And to the thing we were talking about before, I'm gonna return this game. Um, and it's
Oh,
not like,
damn.
but give me a second. It's because of pizza prices, not because of Death Stranding 2.
Oh, okay.
It's just shit's just getting so expensive just in day-to-day life. Like just getting a fucking meal. You can go to the cheapest fast food place on the block and you're spending damn near $15 on one person. Like it's just so expensive, man. And I ain't got it like that, dog. I know a lot of YouTubers and podcasters are gonna flex their money, and I'm gonna be real with you. I do not. I ain't got it like that, man. And so $70 game, if I can take that back and get, I don't know, $50, $60 of my money back, something like that, resell it, get 50, $60 of my money back, put it to a new game, and that way I'm still able to cover as many
Mm.
games as possible here on the channel. That's the main goal. Um, so yeah, it's dude, out the gate as well in Death Stranding 2, I want to give praise. They show some badass shit. Some like crazy fucking technical achievements that is like gorilla um playground
Mm.
ninja theory, like it's in a CDPR on PC for Cyberpunk 2077. If you got like a $5,000 rig, a very select few developers who are able to achieve this technical brilliance. And like there's a scene out the gate where you're seeing a mountain collapse and boulders are rolling down the hill and you're having to like jump out of the way of them. There's a section where it starts to like rain and you see these like critters scurry up the mountain. And dude, it is just beautiful, man. This game is a marvel to look at, but it's Death Stranding.
So obviously, I haven't touched it. It's not on Xbox yet. But the only time I'll eat my words on like exclusives and stuff is when something like this comes along. When it
Mm,
feels like this has a reason to be exclusive first and foremost, and then you can port it to other things because it feels like it's literally doing what an exclusive should do, and it's squeezing every drop of power out of a machine. And that's kind of why I've like laxed on exclusives over the years because they don't seem to do that much really across the board. Like they don't utilize it as much because they're trying to do multiple generations. Sometimes they just can't push it as far as they perhaps want to because when you think back to, you know, the launch of PS4 and stuff like that, that fucking fan was screaming in agony for like knack and stuff
mm,
like that. And I know people clowned on it, being like, "Oh, you know, it's chugging and stuff," but at least they were trying. Push it to
mm,
the limit. That's the whole point of an exclusive is to show what the upper limit of that console is. So when I've seen side by side comparisons of Death Stranding 1 to Death Stranding 2, like it is a night and day difference, as it should be. It looks really, really, really photorealistic, and they've done a really good job. It's also just an incredible engine. The Decima
yes.
engine, right?
The motherfuckers over at Gorilla do not fuck around, man. When it comes to that technical performance, they are on top of it.
Yeah. So I want to see more of that engine. You know, it's a shame that we're in an era where releases are so few and far between. Because you think back of if this was on like the PS2 or something, where they were pumping out games, developers every few years. It felt like seeing something on this scale would have been incredible to see in multiple games. Like that'd be crazy. But Yeah, it's good to hear that it's a lot more, you know, fun. I guess is this
Yeah.
is I'm trying to
Yeah.
find a way of not being disrespectful, but it's the thing of at least they did show it at the beginning that this is the pulse pounding action that you can probably expect later on in the game as well, with set pieces because they did show certain things in Death Stranding one in the early elements, but there was a lot more slower sections than there were faster paced sections. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this thing just goes out the gate. Like it's just going, going, going. And then it takes, probably 3 hours. You're into it and it really slows down. And I just kind of got the vibe that it's like, all right, lock back in and get prepared for Death Stranding again. And I'm just not. And it's, the thing with Death Stranding for me, and it's not a Death Stranding problem per se, as much as it's just a me problem, where it's like Assassin's Creed Shadows, same thing. A lot of just kind of meandering around open worlds, especially I don't necessarily care much about anything that's going on. You know what I mean? So it's I don't have that investment. Um, and so I don't know. I'm kind of I'm not like anti-open world because there are a lot of open world games I love, but you have to be really, really particular, and the narrative has to just grab me for an open world to really work, or you just have to be full of fun shit to do. Um, yeah, I'm playing Inf. Go
because
ahead.
a lot of people ended up getting that feeling during the PS4 era. There was a lot of people turning around and being like, "How open worlds are so oversaturated in the market and stuff like that." So maybe you're finally reaching that point with it that many others have also reached. Because we see fewer and fewer, especially from the AAA space. Obviously, the indies still uphold this, but AAA space they don't really do all that many just pulse pounding action games. They all even when they do, like it still feels like a massive, like God of War, for instance. Even with that being action, 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 there's still a massive world that you're exploring and can be fatigable for the
Yeah,
player to
Ragnarok was
explore.
too big.
Yeah, so it's fully understandable. And that, like you said, that's not. There's just once you've experienced, say, 50 of them kind of experiences, it's just like, do I want to go for another 70-hour game of this
Yeah.
ilk? Even is as good as it is when you can, because it's just biding your time as well. With what you can fit that in is either one game for them 70 hours or perhaps 10.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's weird because like I loved Horizon so much, Forbidden West. And
Mm,
I'm like, I wonder if I played that right now. And that's the thing we talk about all the time, where it's
yeah.
timing is a motherfucker, man. Whereas if I wonder if I played Death Stranding 2 when I played Horizon, you swap those two releases. It's like, how would I feel? Would I feel any differently? But I don't know. The combat in Horizon is just like on a different fucking level. It's so, so fun. And I don't know, movement as well is a big part of the open world problem for me, where it's like I don't really want to ride a horse. I don't really want to drive this motorcycle and have to go and, charge it back up and then do all this and that. And I definitely don't want to walk around carrying packages on my back. It's like, I don't know, the movement, the traversal in an open world is such a key part of it. Because even when I was driving the motorcycle, it's like, I don't know, there's nothing overly compelling about this act, opposed to like web swinging around or gliding around or flying around. Or yeah, I'm playing Infamous First Light right now, the DLC for Infamous Second Son.
Hmm.
And I'm Flash in that game, just fucking zipping around everywhere. There's just, and that's once again just a taste thing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not. I understand people really like the cerebral aspects of Death Stranding, and I appreciate that. But I kind of, I'm not that guy. Like I'm not. I'm never gonna claim to be this super fucking, Einstein of gaming type shit. Like I'm not. I'm not really trying to dive into this ethereal like. Yes, I like some deep philosophical shit, but this brand of it just doesn't really work for me. It kind of feels pretentious for pretentious sake. And I also like I think about Sam Lake with Remedy, And I'm like, why do I let y'all get away with this pretentious horse shit? Because y'all do this pretentious horse shit as well. But I think it's because you don't do it for 70 hours. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you get in, you get out, you make me think about the concepts of your game, but you boil it down into a nice bite-sized package. Um, I don't know. I don't want 70 hours of pretension. But once again, this is more, I don't want to even try to like I don't even really want to try to make the argument that this is a Death Stranding problem more than it's just a me problem. It's just a me problem. It's not my brand of game.
Yeah, because it's not a bad game. That's the
Great
thing.
game.
It's the same thing with the first game. They're both great at what they set out to do. It's just a thing of taste. Um,
Absolutely.
and I don't think there's anything wrong with striking that balance, though. Of you can still criticize something that isn't in your taste, while also being
Totally.
aware that this definitely appeals to some people. Because Jesus Christ, them reviews are a lot hotter than I would have expected. But that's because it's the thing of like prove me wrong almost. Is this going to be even slower than the first game? Are you just going to double down on that? Because then I don't think the reviews would have been as hot. So at least he did listen in some aspects, and he definitely knows how to pull certain strings with news. Because there was a lot of people that we even reported on it where it was oh, it's too fun, scale it back, and
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's like he definitely knows how to play both sides, which is a credit to his genius. But
Let I got a theory about the review bump.
okay.
So Death Stranding 1 comes out, it's really divisive.
Mhm.
79 out of 100 or whatever it was. And then Death Stranding 2 comes out and it's a 90 out of 100.
Mhm.
Top 5 best games of the year according to Metacritic. And I think what happened was Death Stranding 1 weeded out the people who wouldn't tolerate it. And
Yeah.
then so when Death Stranding 2 rolled around, they didn't put those people on the review of it.
Yeah.
So the people who gave it like sixes and sevens are no longer reviewing Death Stranding 2. It's the people that they got to review Death Stranding 2 liked Death Stranding 1. And so and that's fine. Like I'm not saying that's totally valid. But if you threw me on a Death Stranding 2 review, someone who didn't like Death Stranding 1, and you probably shouldn't do that as an outlet. Like I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying
Mm.
to say, that's a wrong. Like I don't know if there is a wrong way of doing it, but like if you were to say, Brandon, okay, here's your review assignment. You're going to play this for 80 hours, and then you report back to us with your review and your score. You wouldn't have been happy at all with the result. Like it would have been, 6, 7 out of 10 or whatever, because there's no chance that unless this game just goes crazy and I'm flying around with Sam Porter Bridges in a fucking wingsuit or something like delivering packages on my head. Uh,
Wingsuiting with a fucking t-shirt cannon, just delivering packages that way to
yeah.
people's doors. There you go, Kojima. No, it,
But
it is weird though, isn't it? Because when you think about how they handle them review scores, because there is a merit for giving somebody who doesn't like a product the chance to critique it. Because if, say, you're enamored with Kojima, there's a lot of things that you would let slide that you wouldn't if this wasn't Kojima's name tied to it. If this was somebody completely else developing it, they would critique it in a different manner. So it's that weird thing. But yeah, I think for the most part, you should probably have people who enjoy the title
yeah,
review it. It's always better to have a positive spin.
I
Just
mean,
as
have
just
me
as long as they're willing to give it some level of criticism as well. Like just pure positivity also doesn't help.
totally, have me review a tank-based horror game, have you review a turn-based JRPG game. Like it shouldn't be the opposite. And there's validity and like there's a reason to have both opinions on the same review from two very different perspectives. I think that's entertaining as fuck.
Mm.
And also shout out to IGN. I want to give them a lot of praise. I don't know if you saw there, and IGN doesn't get a lot of praise, so this is but I don't know if you saw their review on YouTube. they have a section of it like 15 minutes in or whatever, or 12 minutes in, where they actually have an interview with the reviewer, like a face-to-face interview where the review editor interviews the reviewer and they get their kind of background with Death Stranding, thoughts on the first game, and they just kind of do this sort of like face-to-face discussion to bring personality to the review so you can understand it's not like a conglomerate sort of site-wide score. It's one person's opinion.
as it should be.
Yeah,
Humanizing the score, because that's what a lot of people, whenever they get angry at IGN, it is always IGN. And I get it. It's always easier to punch up at the big corporations. There's a
totally.
certain person who wrote that review that you should be directing that annoyance to. Um,
We shouldn't
if
be directing it to any fucking body.
No, if you want to
Goofball.
disagree, no, if you want to disagree with them, is what I should have
Yeah,
said. If there's something that you feel like, for instance, with like the example of the alien isolation thing, you shouldn't get angry at IGN for doing that. It's whoever reviewed that is like, I think you probably shouldn't have done that review. I don't think that did you any good. Um, you probably weren't the suitable person to touch it if it's not your thing. Maybe let someone else pick that up. But then it's that type of thing of I don't know how they hand out them thing, how they hand out the projects. Because if it was me, I'm a massive fan of Alien. I don't mind horror and survival horror, but it's not like my preferred genre. So it probably would have, if I was in his shoes, I'd have been like, yeah, I'd love to review it, and then I probably would have reviewed it a lot less stellar than other people as well. So it's
yeah.
that it's a difficult industry.
And that's the thing is like I just don't understand like the hate comments and shit regardless. I listen, I it we get them all the time. It's not like I don't lose sleep over it unless it's something fucking egregious. I don't want to be like stalked and fucking killed. But if it's anything other than that, it's like it is what it is. It's just words on the internet. But it is kind of a bummer for people who do get upset about that stuff where I don't know, like let that person have their opinion, you have your opinion. It doesn't have to go any and beyond that. Like it doesn't have to go into this vitriolic territory because someone gave something you gave a 8 to, they gave it a 5. It's like who the fuck cares? Just give your opinion and keep it moving. That's the fun of video game discourse is that we all have different opinions.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Death Stranding 2, I'll drop that one in the so I changed the tiers up a little bit. What do I have? I have great, good, meh, and bad for didn't finish.
Yes, that is
I'll just
correct.
drop it in good for me.
Drop Death Stranding in good. Didn't finish. And
Yeah.
do you think there's any chance that you'll go back to this at all in the future? Is this the type of thing where it's you've seen enough?
Yeah, I'm gonna return it, get some money back. And I'm gonna be doing there's another game I'm gonna do this for. I'm gonna start doing this a lot more. I did it back in the day whenever I was saving up for this house and I just had to, every penny mattered. It's starting to get back to that territory. Like you gotta pinch these pennies a little bit better than I have been. So there's another game I'm gonna do this with as well, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Okay. Right, me up next.
Yep.
I think I'll start it off pretty simple. This shouldn't take me long to get through. And that's Soulstone Survivors. I don't know. I still don't know what like you classify this genre as. There's so many different ways that people have like talked about it. But it's basically vampire survivors. And with that exploding onto the scene and blowing up into being what it became, obviously it's like every genre like that is you get a lot of imitators. And don't get me wrong, there have been quite a few that have come out that have been pretty crap. This isn't actually that bad. It's got like full voice acting. It has like a massive like opening story thing. They don't really go anywhere with it as of yet. I've put like 8 9 hours in, but it's got tons of different characters and stuff, and it's just that addictive, sticky gameplay loop that you would expect. And the only other thing as well is you get to a point in Vampire Survivors where difficulty just evaporates. So the beginnings of like your save with Vampire Survivors is you will lose a lot of runs. It doesn't matter about like the gameplay knowledge, like you just sometimes aren't powerful enough. This also seems to have that, and then from about the third, because you basically replay maps and add more and more modifiers on it. From about the third map onwards, it definitely seems to employ a bit more difficulty with its modifiers. I don't know if because it's getting to the point where I don't know if that's enough. This I think they need to add something else to this genre to keep it the wheel turning, as it were, without it because it's beginning to get a little bit stagnated.
Isn't this
Um,
a twin stick shooter?
See that? Yeah, that is the. I guess that could be different enough. It doesn't. You can't really direct your skills as much as you'd want to, which is a little bit annoying as well. Because that's the difference with Vampire Survivors. It is pure movement based, and everything is just it does it for you. There are certain skills that has like a reticle that you aim, but you're not controlling that whatsoever. So with this, you do pivot your character in certain directions, and there is a ton of skills that have directional input. But there's so much shit going on that, and it's your cooldowns are so quick that it's almost meaningless at times. But yeah, I'm enjoying it for the type like it's the type of thing where if you were playing this constantly, it would get old real quick. So
Yeah.
jumping in every like once every 3 days is what I've been roughly doing, and like clearing a map, and that's fine. It's not expensive either. It's pretty cheap. It's one of the like $15 kind of entry point indie games, so they're not asking a lot. So can't really critique it as hard as other stuff.
Yeah, I saw it on the PlayStation Store and I looked at it and I'm not the Vampire Survivors guy, but I was like, I don't know, this looks somewhat interesting. The twin stick shooter thing kind of got my ears perked up. But yeah, and it has a really good box art as well. Whenever I was including it
Mm.
in here, I was like, oh, this is actually really the purples and the looks really good. Catching.
Yeah, it would have been probably one that flew under my radar, but for some reason, and it's that type of thing of like this shows the importance of exposure. True Achievements wouldn't shut up about this. They must have done like a deal with them or something, like a marketing deal, because they posted like
Mm.
3 or 4 articles leading up to its release of being like, oh, unfortunately, it's been delayed, and then oh, it's the day of release, and it's like you're fixating on this way too much than you usually do. But
Is it like an easy 1000 score or?
no, it's quite. I think it's a rather lengthy one. I can quickly look it up. It doesn't take long to look up at True Achievements, but I'm not. I'm about 15% of my way through it, and I'm about 10 hours
Nice.
in.
I was on the platinum trophy hunt. We'll talk about it in a second, but I got the platinum trophy hunting bug and I got the platinum trophy hunting bug. That's a double entendre there.
100 hours, which is
Whew.
yeah. But this is the thing of like what I'm talking with these type of games. I would be shocked if there were a lot of people that would sit there and mainline this as a title. This is the type of thing of the it's a background game. Like
Yeah,
that 100 hours is going to be cumulative over months and months and months and months. Like you're not going to knock that out in a month of entire playtime. You would go insane.
right.
Um, so yeah, Soulstone Survivors. I will put that in. It's where is it? There it is. Obviously didn't finish it. Technically, well, I technically did. I finished runs. I've won them, but no. Um, I'll go good. It's definitely a good entry into the genre, which I still don't know. Some people call it bullet heavens and stuff like that. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
It's a good entry.
Yeah, that's a bullet heaven. I like that. Because I guess it's a little bit more forgiving and uh is that the reasoning or
In ways, yeah. In other ways,
yeah.
not so much. I did get my teeth kicked in yesterday. I was like, oh, I'll try this new like this mode that they put in, and then oh no, not strong enough for that.
Well, Loon, do you want to pivot to the other? I guess we'll knock out. This is probably the only other like big game that we have to discuss that'll take us some time to ramble through since we've both been playing it. And I should have put two. That's my fault. I should have put two images in there for rematch so we could both rank it. We'll have to debate the ranking. I think we'll probably both be somewhat close on it though. I think we're both pretty hot on this game. Um, So talking about the platinum trophy, just out the gate, that fucking sucks, man.
Yep.
It really, really sucks. I have three trophies left to get, and two of them are the damn the level trophies where you get a trophy for being level 10 and level 30. I'm like level 35 or level 37 or some shit. I have not got either of those trophies. I've just kind of been hoping that they would patch it and it would auto unlock, and it's just not gonna happen, it seems. Um,
I
I
think
don't know.
they will it's so weird, right? Because it's usually me complaining about something like this. So for you to have something you wouldn't have something to relate upon down the line because you've had that itch of this specific game where you're like, I want everything this game has to offer. And it sucks because there's so many people who when they hear, oh, an unobtainable 100%, and you think, well, just move on. It's not that big of a deal. But when you latch onto a game and it becomes very, very important, and then you're never able to get that, it does sting a little bit, and it does take away from the enjoyment of the game.
Listen, I wouldn't say it takes away from the enjoyment of the game, but I would say that for me personally, like I it's just kind of one of those things where I love this shit so much. I've
Mm-hmm.
put 40 hours into it already. I'm just playing it non fucking stop. That it's like, yeah, it'd be cool just to have that as sort of a marker for like that's maybe my favorite game of the year and I have a platinum for it. And it's just the platinum thing for me is kind of irrelevant anyways, like the 100%ing platinums, because it's not, I don't necessarily do it for my favorite games. I do it for games that don't have a story. I can't, when a game has a story, I can't look at all that stuff. It's just I get too distracted. My short-term memory is horrible as is. So like when I'm trying to invest into a story, I need all attention focused on that story. Or I'll just completely forget characters. You can ask me about a character from a game I played 3 weeks ago. Tell me to name the lead character in whatever. No chance I'll be able to do it. 3 weeks later, my memory is just horrible. So I try my best. I do my due diligence to try to stay fucking focused while playing story games. But with sports games, racing games, shit like that, I love it's like an addition. It's kind of like a story. It's like having a quest to complete, and that's the trophy, the trophy hunt. And also the 3 games in a row. I haven't got that, and I've won like seven, six, seven
Yeah,
games in
it's
a row.
bugged on Xbox as well. I did that this morning. I won five in a row, and I was like, any day now.
Yeah, it's so how many hours have you put into this thing? I know you're really you jumped onto it a little bit later than I have, but I know you really really got invested in it and you'll be seeing the highlights that we're running. It bums me out that we can't like on Xbox, we can't grab, the full gameplay straight screen capture from
Oh
the
yeah,
console and upload it to YouTube. So we kind of got this shitty little highlight thing. It's not, I mean, it's a fine. Uh, it's a bunch of clips I put together and then uploaded them all. So you might see some like there might be a section in this gameplay where it's you see the same thing twice or whatever. But that's just it's the best you can do when you're trying to capture the last 3 minutes of gameplay.
yeah. 13 and a half hours is what I've clocked in.
13. Yeah. Yeah, it's addictive as fuck, man.
Hmm.
I finished work last night at 11 and or I should say I got home from work last night at 11 and I was like, okay, let's let's fucking I cannot play rematch at 11 11:15 controller is in hand. I'm playing rematch. And I played it to like I didn't go overboard. Played it to like 1:30 or something like that. Um and I'm just in there doing practice, just practicing to get trophies and like it's fucking addictive, man. It's fucking addictive. And it's just one of those one more game ass games.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's so quick. 6 minutes in, out, boom. Um, and it's so addictive, like playing this game the right way. And I play however the fuck you want. I don't really care. And that's the thing too, where it's like if I have a teammate who plays poorly, I'm not it's frustrating, but it's like it'll be done in 6 minutes and hopefully my next teammate they'll play better. There's nothing to really get all that invested in, and you can say that's a negative. I think of it as a positive. Like there's no stats, there's no nothing, man. It's just love of the game, old school PS2 feel. Um, yeah, it feels like NBA Street, but with soccer, you know, FIFA Street, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, we had a blast with it. It's been a few days since we played, maybe even a week. It feels it's getting up there. But we had a really good time with it. Definitely glad you put it on my radar because it was that type of thing of where you see because it's Slow Clap that obviously developed it. You're like, you probably would have wanted them to do a Sifu sequel
Of
or something
course.
else and stuff like that. So it's like, you're there's always that little tiny bit of bitterness and doubt. It's like, do you really need to like direct your resources towards something that's going to be a live service? Because these type of things as well, what people need to keep in mind is this is going to need constant attention from them developers. I don't know how big Slow Clap is, but this is going to be something where it's going to need constant updates every single month of stuff. At the maximum, you can maybe drag it out to 3 months, but it's a live set. It needs constant rotation of stuff, which is going to take away from their ability to, you know, staff other projects and stuff like that because it needs constant monitoring. So hopefully that this does so well that they can staff up and still keep efficiency doing whatever else they're doing. I don't know if they have any other projects announced. Are you aware of
Nothing
any?
yet. No.
Okay. So they can kind of take their time with this a little bit then and kind of perfect it, which is probably the better way of doing it, and then directing it elsewhere. But yeah, I loved it. Loved it. It's scratching that Rocket League itch, which has obviously I play Rocket League still, but it's when I have a multiplayer game that I can still earn achievements in, it makes it even better for me. So it's like, yes, I'm actually achieving something. Because that's the difference. I think that's the difference between the two of us as well. As I do need something pushing me that a little bit extra. Because once this is 100%, it's a difficult struggle to convince myself to go pick up. Because then it's like, well, why don't you just work on another multiplayer game? But that's just my mentality.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, I'm that way with stories, you know, once I finish a story, it's like I'm really, really hard pressed to go back and clean up side quests
Hmm.
and kind of The Witcher 3 is probably the last example I can think of where I was just so into everything that was going on that I went and cleaned up the majority of the side stuff. But yeah, I think the biggest point of praise I can give this game is that like for someone like myself who does not like soccer at all, like I don't dislike it, but I don't have any knowledge of it. I know nothing at all about soccer. I jump into this and I am just like it's so instantly fun. You pick it up, you play it, and you're immediately having a good time, even though you don't know what you're doing. And I will say that I really recommend people going and doing the 3v3 opposed to the 4v4 or the 5v5 because 3v3 you're going to have to learn how to, you know, you're going to have to learn the mechanics because so much is relying on you. Whereas with 5v5, you can kind of just play defensively and it's actually probably going to help your team more so than like if the more you stay by the goalie and can kind of assist on defense in 5v5, the better off your team is actually going to perform because nobody else is going to do that. Everybody wants to score so badly. And if you're just the one person who doesn't have that fucking innate urge to score, which like I don't give a shit about all that. I want to win. Um and so like just helping out and being a good teammate is so rewarding in this game. Um, yeah, I don't know. For me, for me personally, this is like definitely game of the year level for me.
Mm.
Um, I fucking adore this video game. I think it's one of the best sports games of all time. Like it's in that high ranking class of all time great sports games. It's so fucking fun. I wish it had a physical copy. I wish it had couch co-op,
Yep.
but beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, I I think it's definitely it's got the potential to be that for me. I think it's there's definitely some things they do need to improve on, but this is a really strong, solid foundation. Um, and that like, sorry to keep bringing it, but the Rocket League comparison, like Rocket League was also extremely bare bones when it first came out. It had issues much like Rematch had, and they ironed them out. That's the thing. As long as they can keep giving this game attention and quickly, that's the big thing. When you have a title like this, it needs to be done quickly. You can't sit there and be like, "All right, we need 4 months to fix something." That's your player base will dwindle very, very quickly when you're doing stuff like that. So they're very, very fortunate to have they've mastered the gameplay for the most part. It's about 99% of the way there. That can tide people over for a little bit longer than other games. So,
We probably should talk about some of the flaws though before we dip out of this because there are like very, very noticeable flaws. And I would say probably one and two for me. Magnetism with the ball is very finicky and
mm-hmm.
like there is something you could master this game if that magnetism was a little bit more predictable. And maybe there is some kind of benefit there of the unpredictability of like I know it's bad game design inherently to like have have a system in your game not perform the way it's supposed to perform. But in that, I feel like it also is less cheesable. Like you're not going to be able to find the like they have found moves where
Yeah,
you
I was
kick the
gonna say,
ball
yeah.
against the backboard and you're kind of elevating up with the ball. But even then, they've gone in and patched those things out. Like it is, it's fairly hard to like cheese your way to a win in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few things I would like to see changed, and this is gonna like you can completely disagree with me. With me playing yesterday, I don't know if he was on keyboard or mouse, but there's a very they found a new thing. It seems like being able to dribble with the ball on the ground, but very quickly back and forth, like rapid lightning fast, to the point where you
Hmm.
can't touch it. And it's like that's probably shouldn't be a thing. There's a thing where like kind of how they tackled drop shotting in first person shooters. If you can do it a few times and then make the character begin to slow down, have like a decay start to
Yeah.
take in because you see a lot of people juggle the ball, juggle, 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 juggle. Probably shouldn't be able to do that as well. It's that type of thing of like you want to make sure there's a good striking balance between because once people master the game, like you said, the new people that are going to be coming in, say 3, 4 months down the line, are going to have no chance and they will just dip out immediately because there's so many layers that other people have learned. You want to try and keep it in a realm of just pick up and play because that's where this game shines where others don't. It's so simple to just pick up and play. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And it
the
can,
and the magnetism, man. That needs to be fixed. It's so because I've been primarily playing goalkeeper because people just don't do it, and well,
yeah.
because they don't do it, this is no shade to them. If you don't do something, you're not good at it because you don't practice. You can't be good at something because you don't interact with it. So there's a lot of really poor goalkeeping skills. So that's something like you said when you put yourself into them situations, been getting better and better and better, and it's so for me it's much more satisfying. I enjoy
It's
playing the
so fun.
goalkeeper more than outfield because when you're a good goalkeeper, you're not. People just think, oh, you're stuck in the box. You're not. When you become a sweeper keeper, like in the modern game of football, you come out of your box collecting the ball. You're dictating the passes and stuff like that. There's so much more to it, but people don't want to engage with it because they just want that thrill of, oh, I scored a goal. Um,
Yeah. And you gotta play goalie. That is the one thing I will say. Like, dude, it's in fucking infuriating. They swap out the goalies
mm,
automatically.
yep.
Like if you have two other players who are down there trying to score, they're not fucking focused on what you're doing back there. So if you end up running up, they're not able to see that in time to run back. If you're going to swap from goalie, swap immediately while everybody is
Mm.
aware of it, and let someone else come in and get in position to take your spot. Like you can't just leave that goal wide open.
I do have a. Have you played ranked at all?
Yeah. I've
Are
played
you able
probably
to lock in a goalkeeper in ranked? Because if you can't do that, that's something that they definitely should implement. Because if you're playing ranked, I think during the matchmaking, it should basically be prioritized if you want to be put in as a goalkeeper or an outfield player.
No, you can't. You at
That
least
would be
not to
a
my knowledge.
a suggestion I would make for ranked only. It's that type of thing where that should probably be put in place because when you're playing ranked, there is a stake. People get much more invested, and if they have only trained as a goalkeeper and then you're throwing them out into outfield, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Um,
I like ranked a lot. It's ranked is definitely players are more skilled there, but it's more easy. It's easier to win in ranked than it is in 3v3 because 3v3 is like I said, it's so chaotic. Whereas with ranked, it is like once again, if you play correctly, you're more likely to have other players who are playing correctly because they're more invested.
yep.
And so it's just, yeah, there's a good flow to ranked play. But I don't know. I appreciate the structure, the strategy, all that, but the chaos, man, of 3v3 is just so fun. There's so much open field. You have to cover so much ground. You're constantly running back and forth. You're diving. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And it's just fun as shit, man.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I do agree though. There's some things that need to be added into it. The magnetism with like certain things where whenever you are in front of someone who's running with the ball and you're trying to defend them and you're literally your foot is right on the ball, but since they're so reliant on the magnetism and so like there's no real dynamism in terms of that ball doesn't like flow but like in FIFA it's just the ball, you know what I mean? So if your foot comes in front of that ball, you now control the ball or you now made a play on the ball, whereas to make a play on the ball you actually have to press a button, you have to press circle, and sometimes say you're trying to just do a quick tap with circle, but if you're sprinting and you forgot to let go of LB you slide and then they
Sliding
do a
in,
little
baby.
juke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I found most infuriating from the magnetism side is it has a really bad time of tracking sometimes when you are the goalkeeper and it goes high.
Yes.
Something where it's like, and you. This is when we were talking when we were playing about playing the game. We talked about it when you when you start relying on it. 1 in 10 times it will screw you over, and it's of no
Yep.
fault of your own. It's just the game switches off its brain. The ball will go high. 9 times out of 10, your character will just automatically catch it because it's going to land at your chest. Therefore, you will automatically magnetize. And other times, it just goes through you, and it's just like, come on, man. What
I
do I gotta do?
I remember we were playing, and I don't. It was maybe it was you, maybe it was me, maybe we were playing with Panda. I don't remember when we were playing, but there was one time where like we were just standing there, and the ball went through us and scored, and it was like, bro, you gotta make up your mind. Like
Yep,
you can't have it both ways. If we have to press the button triangle, then make it every single time. You are not going to be able to block this unless you press triangle. But if you make it to where you hold L2 and it auto blocks, then let that be like you have to make up your mind.
yep,
Um so anyways, all of that being said, the game is fucking incredible. I really really love it, but it has major problems. I couldn't give this an S tier. It's kind of the same way I feel about College Football 25, where College Football 25 was one of my favorite games of last year, but there are noticeable flaws that need to be fixed, and you gotta kind of grade appropriately. But I mean I would still put it in the A tier. Like I wouldn't drop it to B tier,
yeah.
no way, shape, or form.
No, I was getting scared then. Thought he was gonna be like B, C.
No.
Um, no, it's the type. It's one of the. I will give them even more credit because it does. It needs praise to as much as it possibly can get, and obviously equal criticism in parts. But for this being their first like step
Sport
into
game.
into a live service game as well, sports game, this has been an incredible showing. Like there's a few wobbles here, but that's you think of. I'm thinking of like sorry to give shade to People Can Fly, but like Outriders, they won, and how badly that struggled of just people can't connect. They didn't have that issue at all, to my knowledge. There was no, oh, people are piling in because it's there's a ton of people wanting to play, and we just don't have enough stuff. Like they seem to have prepared appropriately for that, and that needs to be commended. So yeah, I'd 100% agree. A.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to Slow Clap. Shout out to Rematch, one of my favorite games of 2025 so far. But Loon, how do you want to do this? Do you want to hit the next one? You want me to hit the next one?
How many do you have? You have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. One, two, three, four. Yeah, you have seven. So I think the perfect to get neck and neck would be you knocking out the two Star Wars stuff.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'd really like to talk about both of those, man. So we'll start off with Wildcard. That was the first Star Wars Outlaws DLC that I jumped into because I hadn't played the DLC, and I know that the pirate one had come out, and I wanted to hop into that. But I was like, well, let me hop into this one first. And first off, let me just say, this game is so damn fun. Like Star Wars Outlaws itself is such a fun fucking video game. It always was fun, but especially now with the tweaks they've made, pretty much eliminating the need for stealth altogether. Like this DLC, you are not doing stealth unless you choose to do stealth. And if you get caught during a stealth encounter, you just shoot your way out of it, or you figure your way out of it, think your way out of it, strategize, plan, hide. Like it's not and it's not realistic at all, but who the fuck cares? Like, sure, K-Vess should like she's not some Jedi. If she gets shot, she should die immediately. I understand why they made the choices that they made initially. Like they wanted to keep it somewhat grounded, but you're knocking out fucking stormtroopers and they got helmets on and you're punching them in the head and knocking them out. Like you can't have it both ways. It is a video game at the end of the day. And I think Uncharted Star Wars was all people wanted from this. And now that is what this game is. It is straight up Uncharted Star Wars, but with like bad production value, bad character modeling, not great writing, and a lot of the things you like about Star Wars. But the gameplay, man, the gameplay is really, really fucking fun. It is
Mm.
really fun just to play this game. And I don't want to ramble too much, but before we talk about the actual content in the DLC, can we talk about DLC itself and
I
the
mean, sure,
state?
of course.
What is going on with this shit, man? Like, how are they having such a hard time figuring out allowing the player to select the DLC from a fucking menu tab? Like, just have an option in the main menu.
um, I understand that criticism. I was wondering where he's going with that. I get what you're saying. Um, mm, it's just the modern way of trying to integrate everything together, isn't it? Because what you usually see is the majority of people that jump into DLCs are people who have adopted the game much later, ironically, because then they buy the complete edition. So therefore, they end up because it's something I'm assuming you just do while in the game, right? You travel to a certain area.
Well, it's like you gotta finish this side, or it's not a side mission. You finish this mission,
Mm-hmm.
um in which I already had the mission finished. So I had to pull up a full YouTube video to
Yep.
figure out just like what to do.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well it's not even in your log, like it's not named wild card, or
Okay,
it's a
that's pretty
totally,
tragic.
it's crazy, bro.
Because I was gonna say that I can understand melding it in because the difference is The Witcher did this, but they did it both ways. They let you either boot it from the menu with a pre-gen level 30
Yes.
character if you want to do it that way and just jump straight in, or they also, organically melded it into the story so that if you're playing through the game for the first time and then you stumble upon this character or whatever, it will just organically move you into that, like what they did with Blood and Wine and stuff like that. You end up bumping into them characters, you do the thing, and then you're pulled into Tucson. I don't know why. I don't know why Ubisoft struggles because they seem to struggle a lot more than most as well. Because Valhalla also had instances of like this. I remember Odyssey also had it. I don't think you did Odyssey's DLCs and stuff like that. I had to pull up Jaw Raptor videos to find out how to start the damn. It's like I've paid money and it's like your day one and you don't put it, like, just put it in the log. What is wrong with you? And I think they do this down the line. They listen to that, but it's like you shouldn't even need to be listening to that as like feedback. That's just common sense, isn't it? Like, put it in the log. What's wrong with you?
It it is really, really crazy, man. It is, but anyways, we'll talk about the actual content inside of the game. I just think the state of DLC is like tragic, man. I don't know why you don't just release the damn thing, kind of like how RoboCop's doing it, where you just buy it separately, $30, boom, $40, whatever it may be. Spider-Man Miles Morales the fuck out of this thing. But regardless, the game. Star Wars Outlaws, the wild card DLC is really, really good. It starts off really slow, where you're just kind of like gathering intel early on. It's like the first couple hours, at least the first hour and 30 minutes, you're just gathering intel. And that's fine for like an Andor or a slower paced television show where you're not controlling the character. But like you're controlling the character. You know what I mean? You want the game to kind of go play. You want to play the video game. Um, so yeah, I just uh, I don't understand. And I like this game. I promise I like this game as I sit here and complain about it for 30 minutes straight. Um, but in the base game as well, they started off with that ultra slow ass start in Star Wars Outlaws, where you're going around gathering intel and then it's like, dude, this game has so many cool ass things where you're riding around on your speeder bike, flying out into space, third person shoot. Like there's so much fun shit to do playing what's it, Sabak, I believe is the name
Yeah,
of
so
the card game. You're There's so much fun shit to do and get invested in, but you're presenting the most boring shit first. Why are y'all doing? And I will say for the other DLC, they do not do that. There is no fu It's all gas, no brakes, and I love that. But anywho, so the main hook of, and I won't go into any spoiler realms. I think that in the gameplay, unfortunately, there might be a little bit of spoilers in the gameplay that you're watching, but it's the entire DLC early on is just about Sabak. It's kind of a casino style set piece. You gather some intel to get invited into this Sabak game, and you're playing some high level fucking Sabak. Nyx is over there stealing cards and planning them on people, to get eliminated from the game. And I really love that they leaned into Sabak so heavily because I thought that that was one of the more fun aspects of the base game. And I actually kind of wish they went further with it in this DLC. Like have that shit as the entire, or, have it as like half the DLC. You're just in a tournament for Sabak. Um, but yeah, so the I guess early game spoilers. The entire premise is you're playing this high stakes game of Sabak with Lando, and obviously shit goes sideways, and the game of Sabak is interrupted. The prize gets stolen, and then you and Lando work together to retrieve the prize. That's kind of the main crux of the story. And when this shit gets going, it fucking goes. It's really quick. You finish it in 3, 4 hours. It does not overstay its welcome. And the first hour of that being so slow is a little bit of a bummer, but
mm,
the gameplay is just so fucking tight. The shooting feels so solid. And this DLC specifically, when it really gets going, it's just like the how they design the levels pieces to occur so naturally in gameplay. And they just have some really cool little arena battles where you're taking out, 3, 4 enemies with one fucking blast to the right gas canister or whatever the hell, and then shit's exploding and you're seeing a little bit of destructibility. And it's really, really it's fun as shit to play Star Wars Outlaws. And that was kind of the big reminder while hopping into these DLCs. It's like, yeah, the core gameplay is just genuinely fun here.
yeah. The
Go ahead.
thing that always kind of surprised because you were so cold on Shadows, and to me they felt very very similar. Um,
Shadows and Outlaws?
yeah.
How?
Obviously, one is a sci-fi game, and the other one is more historical and stuff. Just the way that they tackle just the gameplay loop and stuff like that. Like it seems very very similar. They scale it back a little bit with Outlaws and stuff, with you being in a like tighter close environments and stuff. but I felt like the it's still the core elements just being repurposed in a different way. Is it the fact that it is just them tight, closed environments that kind of keep you invested, rather than having to
Well,
travel the length of an expansive map to get to them areas?
and if
It,
I want to travel anywhere, I get to hop on my speeder bike, and then if I can go explore space in a fucking spaceship, and I can shoot people instead of hit people with a sword, and there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of differences there. Like I like the hook of Assassin's Creed, but I don't know. Listen, everybody has their own kind of personal preferences. I think Assassin's Creed, when I actually get to what I'm doing, is fun. I just don't like the in between of going from one destination to the next in this long meandering horse ride or whatever. Like you give me a speeder bike or some shit, you let me let's get out of this, historically accurate stuff and let's go fucking crazy with it. I'd be in there glazing the shit out of Shadows. Because like Outcast, A New Beginning, it's these big expansive but I'm fucking jetpacking around. If you gave me a jetpack in Star Wars Outlaws, it would it's instantly game of the fucking generation. It's a wrap. There's nothing. I fucking love shit like that so much. Elix. I
uh,
tolerated 70 hours of Elix.
hey.
Well, I'm
It's a
saying
good
like
game.
it's
No, no, I'm. It's the thing of where I just wanted to, because there's a lot of. I remember seeing comments earlier on in the year of people being confused as well, and I kind of wanted to kind of reiterate that for you because it's the same thing with Death Stranding. You would probably enjoy Death Stranding a lot more, like you said, if there was a lot more quicker pace to the traversal and the movement and getting from point A to point B. It's the in betweeny stuff that you don't like, and it's the same with Death Stranding, in the same way it is with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Because, well, like you said,
well,
when you get to them areas, you do enjoy what they have there. It's just getting to them areas, which is just exhausting.
and to listen, man, those games are just too fucking big. Like, I don't want to play 70 hours of Shadows. I don't want to play 70 hours of Death Stranding. And with this, it's like for the youth, I finished fucking the main game and a good chunk of the side content in 40 hours. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like you can finish the base of Star Wars Outlaws in 15 to 20 hours. Like I just miss games of that scale. And the open worlds, it's like much smaller but more open worlds. It's a lot of environmental variety. I listen, Shadows is probably a higher quality game than Star Wars Outlaws. It's just my preference. You give me a third person shooter over a sword game, all day, every day, I'm taking the third person shooter all day, every day. And, but yeah, and also the damn active reload in here. You got the kind of Gears of War active reload shit going on when you're shooting. It is a really satisfying game to play. Just a really, really satisfying game to play. And I think visually, um, it's stunning. I think the lighting is incredible in these environments. It's character model wise is horrendous. It
Yep.
looks like absolute dog
It's
shit.
I still don't to this day understand. They master environmental design to a T in most of their games. They're either very, very beautiful or they even strike to some degree in places almost photorealism in stuff. And it's like I don't can you like scale that back 10% and just make the faces look human? Is that too much to ask? Because it's
Yeah.
the same. It's across the board. Their faces, her face is terrible, but that's not just a dig at the game. In Shadows, the faces were terrible. In Valhalla, the faces were terrible. It's just so strange that they've never been able to figure that shit out.
100%. And also the storytelling, because like I think it's still that's the big weakness here, as it was in the base game, is it's just not a super compelling narrative. The base game gets better towards the end, but this story here is kind of the opposite, where you're really invested early on, and then I kind of fell off
Mm.
towards the end. And then the final boss is like just a wet fart. It's fucking nothing. I was really disappointed by that shit. But overall, listen, it's just there's so many self-inflicted wounds that like I don't really understand. Ubisoft is they're the king of that. They shoot themselves in the foot nonstop because they got a foundation here that is rock solid. Like holy shit. You throw that speeder bike, You throw that fucking starship, spaceship, whatever. You throw the third person shooting, the cover mechanics. You combine all of that with a solid story, decent production value, strong character models. Like you got a masterpiece of a video game just waiting there. The bugs are made. Like what what are we doing here? Why does it take y'all 10 hours for the game to start getting into the flow of things? Why can't y'all tell a compelling story? Like what is the problem?
Too many cooks in the kitchen. We've been over it time and time again. It's the type of thing of where if you have four people who have an like you enter a room like as a story piece and you have four people all saying that you they should do this or this could happen, that could happen, that okay, well we can't do that all in one room, so we'll make four rooms, that kind of thing, and it just and that's why things just ball out of control. But yeah, at least the DLCs, because this what also should be praised is the fact that you're not really a DLC person,
No, I love
really,
this.
at
Yeah,
all, which should be highlighted. Like there's a lot of stuff where you loved again, you loved Odyssey. You're never gonna go back and touch any of them DLCs in your lifetime. It's just
no.
you did it, you had your fill, and you moved on. So the fact that this dropped two DLCs and it pulled you back in should be a testament to how much you did enjoy that base game.
Yes. Yeah, I like the shit out of this. And I guess so I'll drop this in the I did finish it. It's super short, 3 hours, a lot of flaws. I'll drop this one in the C tier.
Wildcard.
Yeah, wild card's gonna go in the C tier.
Okay.
And let's actually I'll go ahead and drop Outlaws or Pirate, the pirate fucking DLC. I'll drop that in the B tier. I'll go ahead and do that because it is definitely better than wild card. Out the gate it is going and it immediately hooks you in. The main kind of hook here is that you're attempting to steal some very valuable items, and in the process, you end up making acquaintances with some fucking space pirates. You get the whole gist at Star Wars. Um,
Invested.
so I will tell you, here's the thing I was invested in. There's a cool little subplot that takes place where a rivalry is brewing within your crew with someone that you've had in your crew and this kind of newcomer space pirate fella.
Mhm.
And you can of course, it's Ubisoftified, so the choices, do they really fucking matter at all? Probably not. But you do get to make some choices in there. You get to feel some investment in these different character plots and seeing how it all unfolds. Like you do at least feel, and the illusion of choice can be just as powerful as the choice mattering if it's done correctly.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's done like you do feel the kind of puppet strings being pulled a little bit there. It's kind of obvious that the choices I shouldn't say obvious. I doubt the choices matter. And maybe that's just my own preconceived notions based on Ubisoft's inability to do this in the past and make it matter. So that could be shaping my overall perception of it. But it does at least make you feel like you have some impact, which is, that's kind of the whole point of
That's good
of
enough.
yeah, good enough for Ubisoft. Yeah, once again, really, really short DLC. So that would probably be, another ding against the game. But out the gate, great variety. Ship battles, space exploration, Uncharted style. You're doing some climbing, you're doing some third person shooting, and then it cuts straight into like legitimately a solid, like high level cinematic. Listen, not telling you fucking it's Death Stranding 2 levels, but for Ubisoft, genuinely there are multiple moments in this game that the production value is way higher than anything in the base game. And I was just like, shit, yeah. This is the pirate DLC is kind of everything that if this was made into a 30-hour game and it was just nothing but this, you're talking about a fucking S tier video game without a doubt. I don't know about S tier, but A tier, for me, a S tier for me personally, style video game.
Mhm.
And just the fact that you're in these conversations and you're not just looking at the back of Kay's head as she talks to a random NPC, and they went through the fucking effort to animate these characters and to have motion capture, and like it's very much appreciated when you're sitting there and trying to take in a story, like having it with some decent production value goes a long ass way. And yeah, there was just some cool ass moments. There was one where I was in a high speed chase on my speeder bike, and I hit this gap and cleared it and landed on the other side. And in my peripheral vision, I see the enemies. They miss the gap, and they go like falling to their death. And I'm like looking down as they're falling to their death, and it's just like these. It's not a. It is a pretty canned scripted moment, I think, because it's leading to a main story beat, but just the fact that it felt like a dynamic encounter that
Yeah.
just happened in the world. I love shit like that.
Mm. Yeah. If they can dress it up just enough that you second guess whether or not that was scripted, that's good enough.
Totally. Yeah, and you just when I love action movies, you know what I mean? I love campy, cheesy, silly action movies. And when you have those moments in games that feel like some of those campy 80 action movies, like that's fucking I miss that. I miss that kind of cheese from the early 2000s.
Mm.
And there's some decent beats that kind of hit exactly on those notes that I'm craving in video games. But yeah, another kind of complaint that would I think something that they could have easily fixed is the grappling hook. I it, you just don't have any control of it. And when you play something like Uncharted and you have control of it and you're throwing the grappling hook and jumping to the next side, and at the same time you're gunning an enemy down, like this is a totally canned animation. You throw the grappling hook, you leap to the next side lane, and then you can shoot. Like just having a little bit more of control of that character while she's swinging from one side of the ledge to the other, like that would just be very, very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And a couple things I'll just shout out real quick. If the people who complain about yellow paint in games, where it's like I want the environments to blend in seamlessly with one another. I don't want to know where to go. I want to be lost the entire time. Like this is a really good game that everything is blended into the environment so well. Like there is numerous times where I was playing this where I'm like, can I climb onto that thing over there? Um, yeah. And it's the same thing with like you have to use your flashlight. There's environments that are incredibly, incredibly dark, and you're just sort of walking through it. And if you're not popping that damn flashlight out and scanning your environments properly, you're going to be fucking lost. Um, and then there was a cool moment, like a Resident Evil 1 styled, like the walls are closing in and they have spikes and the ceiling's coming down and it also has spikes. How do I exit this room? It's one of those fucking situations in the game. And I don't know. That's the type of shit that just those little bits where it's a 5 second segment, but it's memorable. It's something
Mm.
that sticks with you after you finish playing the game. The Jill sandwich moment.
Yeah.
Um, you get a new spaceship in this DLC that's dope as hell as well, fast as fuck. Um, there's a mission towards the end of it where it's like this kind of disguise infiltration style mission. And that's something I was wanting way more of in the base game. Where you're able to throw on someone's clothing, knock out a guard, throw on their clothing, and then you're able to go into their hideout undetected and shit. And yeah, that style of kind of hitman interaction was something I really thought would have went a long way for for that base game. But it was cool because I ended up getting caught in this mission, but there were only two dudes near me. So I like paused for a second because like if you get too close, they'll spot you. And there were only two dudes near me, but when they started charging at me, I panicked and I threw a grenade and killed both people. But then I walked the opposite direction and had Nick shut the door behind me. And I'm like, this loud ass explosion, but they're looking in a it's those things where you're like you throw the grenade, you have Nick shut the door, and you just casually walk off, like those once again those movie
Yeah.
scene-esque moments that you can kind of perform naturally. um and I don't want to spoil the ending, but it is fucking fire. It is so fucking sick, dude. The ending of this game is I know anybody who is
The ending of the
coming to
game
this
or the DLC?
the ending of the DLC, the ending of this DLC specifically, the pirate one.
Yep.
Super fucking cinematic, super cinematic, expensive as shit looking. I would say the best story moment that played out in the entire like base game, the wild card or this, it's the best moment from the entirety of the game. It has a lot of that Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones-esque energy. uh awesome set piece moment, a decision that like once again, I hate saying this because I don't trust Ubisoft, but I do think that decision at the end of the Pirate DLC actually did matter. Um, yeah, that it's and it's I don't want to go into too much, but you get like this information off a data pad, and if you don't read that data pad and you don't get that context, like it's so fucking important to have to have read that information to know the choice that you need to make. It's like I don't know. It's that shit is really cool how that all lined up. That ending is dope as fuck for the pirate DLC.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
So
So
dropping that one in the B.
you put that in B, the other DLC in C. What would you have
Mhm.
ranked the base game? What was
A,
that?
but
Okay.
it's I think that DLC, the pirate DLC, is better than the base game
It's just the
overall.
length.
Right. Yeah, you're not doing as much cool shit
Mm-hmm.
in the Pirate DLC, but you're doing more cool shit per minute.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's a better I honestly, well no, you can't play it without playing the full game. See, that's the bummer. That's the thing that fucking sucks where I would like to tell people just jump into that pirate thing and play it for 3 hours, but you can't
You have
even
to do
fucking do that.
prerequisites, man. There's no
Yeah.
skipping.
Yeah, but it's a great it's really that would have went a long way. If they put 15 hours into just that, that would have been a yeah, that'd be a game of the year contender for me this year if it was a 15-hour version of that.
So, solid stuff, Ubisoft. Hopefully that they if they go back to doing a Star Wars game, I'm not sure if they will, that they learn
No.
from that. I think this kind of blew up in their face a little bit to the point where they're like, ah, yeah, we should probably not touch stuff. People don't like it when we touch that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That and you are so right though because it's like that's the game. That pirate game is the game. A 20-hour version of that, that's your game right there. And yeah. It's what people want is a customizable like KOTOR styled experience. That type of Star Wars RPG. And I having, the marketing beat be the first open world Star Wars game is really cool, but it's not the RPG style experience people want, the Western role playing style experience that people really want from Star Wars. But still, I love that game. Really enjoy it.
Alrighty. Mine now. That's not it. I'm gonna do Raidou first. Let's get that footage. So this was one of my more anticipated games of the year. It is I think it originally released on the PS2. Let me make sure that's running. There we go. Right, originally released on the PS2, and the thing is that why I was so excited about it is because obviously been bit by the Atlas bug, but their games are so expensive, man. Their games are so damn expensive. It's why I'm always so it irritates me when we get remasters of new games, but it will never irritate me when you're remastering something from the PS2. Because right now, if this didn't exist, the original copy would probably still be even more expensive. But like right now, if you were to be like, oh, we'll just buy the PS2 version, there's no need to own this. It's going for like $180. Like
Jesus Christ, dude.
this is why you need these kind of things to have like second wind and life. It's not just the quality of life improvements that come with it with the higher frame rates and modernizing of controls and stuff like that. It's just accessibility. Um, and I had no knowledge of this game whatsoever, other than I knew it existed, but I knew nothing on it. And there's a ton of people who have heard, obviously, that it's SMT related. and in that Persona realm, kind of floating around. So they've kind of written it off because they're like, I don't like turn-based RPGs, and it's not turn-based at all.
Oh, really?
It's fully action. You're controlling your character. You're running around. Did you ever play Nino Kuni or see anything about Nino Kuni?
I know I never played it, but I know what you're talking about.
So how it handles combat in that game is very, very, very similar to this, where your main character you're controlling, you're walking around, but you also have companion monsters that are doing their own thing. You can lightly influence their decisions as to what they're doing, but for the most part, they're just doing their own thing. But what's really cool is I don't think this was available in Nino Kuni, but you have during like big boss fights, they will have arena like spanning sweep attacks and stuff like that. So you have to rip your demons back into their vials by clicking a button. So you have to play defensively for the demon because they just don't they don't program them to think that way. They would just sit there and get hit. So there's that kind of like back and forth momentum of you have to pay so much attention in this game, which is so weird to think about. Because when you come from playing Persona, you can autopilot a lot of stuff because you're so used to it. But this is just non-stop action, 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 um, and it's so addictive. It's so addictive. The control scheme is a little bit weird and takes a little bit getting used to, but once you're in the flow, it's really really fun, really damn fun.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was turn-based. I mean, I guess that would just be a general kind of assumption, but I was way off.
No, it's fully action. You're walking around like you would in Persona with the towns and stuff like that. The side questing is kind of I will say you play as a devil summoner slash detective. So devil summoner, you're able to do what you can do in like Persona, for instance, where you're pulling demons out and they're they're helping you aid your quest. And you're also a detective, so you're going around the town helping people. The overarching intro of the story is that a woman's been kidnapped, and you're trying to rescue her. And as you're going around the city and stuff, the thing is that, and that's what I mean with like the side quests being really, you end up like there's so many times where I've like talked to a character and you resolve it in that conversation, which to me that's not a side quest. That's really weak. So you'll be talking to
Yeah.
them and they'll be like, can you get my cat down? And your demons have. This is what I hope later happens on in the game. I can't say because I'm only about 7 to 8 hours in. I hope this gets more use. But you have demons that can fly, for instance, or demons that are small so they can get into tight gaps. So we were at a shrine. It was on top of the shrine, and it's you send your flying demon up there to collect the cat. Case complete, and it's just like, come on, man, we can probably be doing a little bit more here. And I don't know if that's because this is obviously a PS2 game. Maybe there were limitations and they haven't adapted any of that, and they've just kept it one to one. But that does feel a bit like I don't really care about interacting with side quests if it's that, and that's
Yeah.
been the case for the majority of them. But the story's fun. It's fully voiced for the most part. There's very few times where it's just text. Like a lot of the characters are voiced, which is nice. And then it also blends in. What I appreciate as well when you have games that revisit this era, for instance, like the PS2, it's kept, I think, the original like cutscene animation and just ever so slightly polished up. So it still has that old gamey feel charm of like, ooh, that's like a 2000s animation. It has it's charming to me. I know some people probably find that jarring and stuff, but I enjoyed it. Um, Trying to think because I've played it so slowly as well. Because I say that I'm like 10 hours in, but I've done like chapter one in that time, and apparently
Oh God.
it's a fairly quick game. But I'm sitting there just enjoying being in this universe. Um, it's got the classic fusion system that you would expect in a Persona game and SMT game, so that was cool to see that. And then yeah, that's it's a fairly light experience. If you get overwhelmed with Persona and stuff like that, this is a lot more laid back,
Nice.
um, and probably digestible. So
Is it like on that level of writing, or is it a few steps below the kind of persona metaphors of the world? Is it like dark and brooding, or is it more cheery, and like what realm of JRPG is it kind of tackling?
Hmm.
And by the way, before you answer that, I sent a link to your to the chat channel on Zoom here because I totally fucking forgot to include two gameplay beats in here. So I was trying to
Okay.
figure, yeah, so I didn't want to, yeah, my bad. But anyways, the tone of the game, what kind of lane would you
um.
say?
Hmm. See, that's the difficult thing because we I was going to originally talk about this game, but we both cut games. But Final Fantasy, we spoke about it in the call and stuff like that. I feel like Final Fantasy has a lot more campy writing than a lot of Atlas stuff. But the different like Atlas does delve into deep dark stuff, but they it feels like they 50-50 it a lot more than a Final
Mm,
Fantasy does. This there's some aspects where you'd be like, oh, that's kind of probably wouldn't have gone with that voice actor and stuff, but it's not the most egregious I've seen and stuff like that. It's not whiny children and stuff like that.
nice.
Um, you have a cat companion who is, and the voice acting is fine. It's not grating. Your person doesn't speak. Raidou, he doesn't speak. He's just a silent protagonist, stoic. And then you have Narumi, who is your like detective partner, who's an adult who just is normal. So a lot of the interactions you do have are just they're not children with squeaky voices and over the top um, personalities that can be kind of distracting and stuff like that. You're usually what you get from them kind of experience is usually from the demon side when you're interacting with them. They project their personality and stuff like that, which I kind of prefer that. I prefer my companions to be mission focused rather than wacky and stuff like that, more so. So I do
Same.
appreciate that a lot. And yeah, it's just been a really enjoyable time. I think you would probably enjoy aspects of it. I don't know if you would sit through and play the entire thing though. I think you'd probably enjoy this more than Persona 5, but it's the thing of oh, I don't,
Characters.
it's not characters. I just don't know if these are your types of things that you would get fully invested in to see to the end.
Yeah.
Um,
What is it like? What is kind of, is it fantasy?
hmm. I think it's set in like the 1930s
Okay.
of Japan and stuff like that. So it's that kind of like the old Ford cars and stuff like that. That kind of setting.
Oh, that's definitely much more interesting to me.
You wield like a revolver and a katana, but it's that mixture blend as it always is in SMT of blending in that kind of style with the opposite world because you have your real world that you're in where you're talking to random people, and you have the dark realm where all the demons reside, which is where they put the more cartoony stuff. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's I still stand by it. I think you would enjoy it more than Persona 5 just from the gameplay loop itself. I think you'd be able to just get enjoyment out
Tolerate
of
it.
that.
Yeah, I know it got a physical, right?
From limited run,
Oh, right. Oh, duh, duh, duh. Okay, okay.
of course, your boy supported it.
Right.
Um,
Damn, hold that back up.
it's got a fucking cracking cover art,
Yes, it
dude.
does, man. It's kind of got like a Sly Cooper sort of vibe to
Yeah,
that. That is fucking dope. That makes me want to play it just the cover alone.
yeah, it's really really cool. Um, and that's the thing as well. It's disappointing that I'll also put my hands up to this. I need to seriously sink my teeth into the SMT side of the franchise much more than the Persona side because it's a lot more RPG-fied with SMT, a lot more difficult as well. But some of the stuff that they do in them games, they don't do in Persona, and I like. the aspects that they've already even just struck on with this game, which aren't in Persona and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, I've loved it. I'll be seeing it through to the end. I don't know where I would rank it though, because I haven't finished it. Duh.
I mean, it sounds like great, definitely, I would say.
Um, let's go back to this, as it doesn't work. There we go. Where is it? Raidou. Yeah, for the moment, it's great. I'm enjoying it. I've not run into any like frustration with the game either, which is the big thing. Is when you're running through with JRPGs and stuff. The moment that you hit that wall of frustration, things can just fall apart real damn quick. It's just like
Yeah.
ugh. Um, but the quality of life stuff, because I don't think there's no way this would have had that in the PS2 era. But just being able to quick save anywhere and just
Hmm.
dip out, being like, oh, I need to go, or you just, oh, I've had my fill. That was a long dungeon and stuff. I don't want to travel all the way back to a save point. Just pause, quick save, exit, and just yeah, that's amazing. It has a really quick travel system as well, where you just click a button, streetcar, straight there. It highlights as well as you would expect in modern gaming of like wherever your goal is, that's the area you need to go. So really appreciated it. Just cuts out a lot of the fat. And because it's the good thing as well, the final thing I'll touch on, there's loads of people who, when you're playing through JRPGs and stuff like that, you'll be getting hit bombarded by random encounters. It's really good that they've divided the world between the normal world and that dark world, because you can get through the majority of the game as you're exploring and stuff like that, as you're going through the story beats without having to be ripped into combat encounters. You only have them in that dark world. So that's
Nice.
cool. So it didn't finish great for me.
Perfect. Well, dude, I guess we can talk about I think pretty much everything else on the list is a little bit on the shorter side, except for Mindseye. And I think that's actually kind of a shorter game as well. I didn't finish it. I have no intentions on finishing it. I played about 6, 7 hours of it, and I just had to put it down. And it's not like I didn't have any bugs or any game-breaking experiences really at all. There was definitely technical performances, frame rate dipping to, I mean, single digit territory, I would assume at some points. Really bad in terms of the just overall performance of the game. But in terms of like bugs, game breaking bugs, nothing. I don't believe the game ever crashed on me. I didn't have a bad experience when it comes to any of that stuff. I didn't have the weird characters' faces falling off their bodies and like all the shit that was getting shared around online. Like I didn't experience that. What I experienced was boredom. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a worse
Yep.
problem because there's nothing to fix. Like with Cyberpunk, you saw the soul of that and you were like, "Oh yeah, that'll, you might have thought, and rightfully so, maybe the team just wasn't talented enough to tackle that ambitious of a project." Such a departure from what they previously did when you're talking about densely populated worlds opposed to big, vast plains, with The Witcher 3, where there's not a lot of intense fucking interaction between NPCs and cars flying all over the place and that level of verticality to the building structure. And even though they're not deeply interactive, but it's a lot more of a complicated task getting something like Cyberpunk to function opposed to something like The Witcher. So I think it was reasonable to say, yeah, that team might not just be talented enough for that style of experience, and they proved us kind of wrong and kind of right. Like it just took them a little bit longer and they ended up getting a fucking excellent, excellent video game out of Cyberpunk. They're not going to be able to get an excellent, excellent video game out of Mindseye. Um, that that same that same DNA just isn't there. It's just not there at all. There's nothing to extract from what you laughing at the gameplay. What
Yeah,
happened in it?
you're running at the glass shield, like the glass window, and it speeds you up. It's stuff like
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
It's just not to cut you off. It's just everything about this game that they could have just either completely face partnered or just got wrong in any way. It just feels like that's what they did, and it's just very unfortunate.
I'll give a ton of credit to the driving. That's the one thing I will say. It's like, dude, just make a driving game. Like, just make a fucking Fast and the Furious style game. Wait till you see this fucking driving. Of course, the frame rate is atrocious, but wait till you see the fucking drifting and shit. That is really, really good. Like they really fucking nailed that. The driving is more fun in this than Grand Theft Auto. It's fun as shit to drive around. And you want me to, I can guarantee you the reason it's so fun to drive around is because their main focus is trying to get that everywhere game, the always online, infinitely monetizable shit. And you got to have vehicles in those style of games. People are going to want to drive around and fucking, and so that was probably a top priority for them. They knew they had to have that ready to go. And then the rest of this shit, it was like, yeah, that's back burner kind of we're not as focused on because like the shooting is fine. The driving is fine. It's not the shooting in there's no stealth mechanics or melee combat whatsoever. It's fucking crazy. You cannot go up to an enemy and punch them. That is wild.
And you think back to how flamed Redfall got for having its weak ass. It technically had melee combat and stuff like that. It was just poor. It's weird how people's because like you said, the thing that kind of head scratches me is that people are so fixated on the performance issues more so than the product itself.
Right.
Um, there are obviously people criticizing it for being weak in many aspects, but it's so many people are like, oh yeah, game breaking bugs, frame drops, this that, and it's just like I don't think these are the things like yeah, call them out. Of course, they definitely need to be called out, but I don't think that should be the fixation on it. Because there was you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what was swirling around when you're on missions and stuff, if your car blows up, you can't get into other people's cars to continue on with your objective. That is
Right.
that's criminal. That is that is I cannot like there's no other word than just that's stupid. How on earth have you made a map of this size and put an objective? I don't like okay, yeah, it's not a GTA like, of course. You but come on, man. Really?
Let me tell you the craziest shit. So they give you your car and they tell you to get to a destination, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they put a timer on the screen. So they are doing everything in their power. They're like, you got to get to this destination by this point. The only reason they're doing that is because there's nothing to explore in that world.
Yeah, they don't
So
want
they don't
you they
want
don't want you
you,
going off the beaten track. They want
yeah,
you as
there's
directly focused on whatever they're trying to show you so that you don't be like, wow, this is lifeless.
exactly. And listen, I'm fine with that. I like Mafia and I don't need a ton of shit to do in an open world, but it's like there's some level of just, dude, you gotta have you you gotta be able to just hop into the different cars and you gotta be able to have some sort of NPC interaction that's a little bit more dynamic than what's going on here. And yeah, I'm not saying you need to go into every building. Like, who really needs that at the end of the day? I don't. If Grand
No,
Theft Auto
of course
6,
not.
if you can enter 30% more buildings in GTA 6 than GTA 5, I'm happy with that. I don't need that level of that's painstakingly detailed for no fucking reason. Nobody's going to do that. People do want to get to the missions and get to the multiplayer and do some fun dicking off, but like even the side content is just there's like some kind of RTS structured side content. It's a weird fucking video game. It's here's the thing. It's just amateur.
Mm.
It's just there's certain things like you kill someone and the body just instantly disappears. And it's like that's not that that's a problem that was solved in 2004 where you would just see that you'd see fucking bodies. Well, another gameplay. What happened this time?
You're being shot at and the tracers they don't reach you because they've not programmed them to go that far. That's
Yes, it's like it
holy
looks like
shit.
long.
That looks like
The bullets look like long lasers.
yep.
It's crazy. It's once again just amateur. It's really fucking weird, man. Um, there's a section where you're flying like this drone thing and you're seeing the cityscape and it looks so sick, sort of this Vegas-y kind of feel. And then you look down, you're like, that's a lot of traffic. Then you look a little closer, you're like, wait, these cars aren't driving, they're skipping. Like fucking actually skipping, like leaving the ground and skipping. It, dude, once
Um,
again, these are irrelevant bugs or like it does not, I don't care about that. It didn't impact my experience whatsoever, but it is just like, how aren't, like, you guys are vets. What's happening here?
yeah, and because I know I've said this time, it's why I have no faith when that is when they puff chest. It's I'll see the project for myself and judge it and stuff like that because you sometimes an environment like when they were at Rockstar because that's where he's from, isn't it, Leslie?
Yep, Leslie Benzies,
Um,
yep.
it's such a well-oiled machine, so it can cover up. You he's obviously talented in some way because he got that. There's no denying that, but it can cover up some of your shortcomings because somebody else has that as their strength, and you all work, collectively as a team, and you end up making an absolutely astonishing product. And that is not what this is. What this kind of felt like to me when you're explaining it and talking about it, the only thing that's missing from this comparison, it kind of felt like Dark Void. I think is the name of it, where it's just
No.
there's ideas here where they just haven't executed them at all. The only difference is with Dark Void, it had that sticky jetpack gameplay, which
It's
saved that
way
game for
better
me.
than this game. Dark Void is so much better than this
Okay,
game. Like, I'm talking significantly better than this game.
because I love Dark Void. I want to get that across. It just felt like that, where it's just they had an idea, and it's the same with this. They had an idea, and it's just not executed. Because Dark Void was really cool with its jetpacking, really cool with its level design, and then just ended. But
I
at
don't know
least,
if you
but at least it had a story worth caring about up to that point, somewhat.
and, and there's beats here
Okay.
narratively where you're kind of like, okay, I can kind of see where they're going with this, but like individual characters you don't really care about all that much. But
Hmm.
like overall, like the interesting idea, the chip in your head, and like there's some interesting backstory with him, his kind of military background. Like there's interesting ideas, and that actor is fucking, he's a dog, man. He did Lincoln Clay in
Mm-hmm.
Mafia 3, which is an all-time great video game performance. This game is just more like it kind of has that back in the day, hey, we want to get some GTA money, but we don't have GTA talent kind of feel, where it's like 187 Ride or Die, or when Narc came back on the PS2, where it's just like it's not it's like low tier GTA clones that used to happen all the time back in the PS2 days, where it's
It just looks
yeah,
prettier than they did because technology's pushed forward.
right. Exactly. Yeah, this is not a true crime level game. This is not a mafia level game. This is not a Saints Row level game. Like, be very clear. If you listen, and someone like me is the prime audience for this because I do like fucking Narc and 187 Ride or Die and 25 to Life and fucking I could go on and on about those GTA PS2 era games that I enjoyed that are not good. And this is one of those. And yeah, I played it for 7 hours. So like that alone is, but I am the prime audience for this style of game, and I'm telling you, it's not a good game. Like
That's gonna
you
hurt
can,
people's soul. You played this longer than Death Stranding too. Oh, Kojima.
but and that's I find this world and the characters, or not the characters, I find the world and like sort of the story build up just more palatable, more like I
It's just your
can.
preferred genre. It's you want to go back to these type of style of games, even when they're not on the level of GTA. Just having that crime sandbox kind of experience, like you said, with true crime and stuff like that. It's just unfortunate that they didn't deliver in most of the aspects of what make them games, enjoyable.
And I think believability is such a big thing for me, and I don't really know why I'm like that because sometimes I'm absolutely not at all. But when I take in a Death Stranding story, I'm like, okay, so okay, this is all right. I appreciate what you're doing from this fantastical world that you're building, but like it's so hard to buy into any of this shit being somewhat fucking feasible. With that said, it's there's no way for me to explain anything about like vibe check or it's simply just a preference thing. You know what I mean? It's a impossible thing to explain. Where I sit down with Death Stranding, I'm like, I just cannot get into the way that the story is being told and the world that they're trying to build. Like I just can't get into it. And even with mine's like I by 7 hours, I was like, I totally have had my fill. I don't need another minute of this shit. But it is that at least the buildup of, oh, guy from the military had something implanted in his like, there's some level of, I can see this fucking dystopic future being somewhere. Let's see where they go with this. And then they ended up going nowhere at all. And the gameplay got incredibly boring and was very on rails. And I felt like I was playing fucking Hellblade, but somehow I'm in an open world. Yeah, Mindseye is not a good video game. I'll
I,
drop it in the, go ahead.
I just wanted to say one more thing. It's so unfortunate that that's back-to-back releases for him, where they've come out with they're not good releases, like day one releases. Like Mafia 3 was really, really rough, and he was obviously
Oh,
the
for the actor.
yeah, for the front cover. He's tied himself to this. This is even worse than Mafia 3, because at least Mafia 3 did end up getting tweaked a little bit. They fixed things. This isn't probably going to get that treatment. I think they're predicting layoffs, right?
Oh
Unfortunately
yeah,
for
the
this, like this
studios.
is probably done.
Yeah.
Um, that's damaging for him, man. That's
You
it's
think
not
so?
yeah for an actor, because it's hard to, because they can, it's an easy scapegoat as well for a lot of people to just be like, don't tie yourself to him because he puts himself to bad. It's like Nick Cage and stuff like that. You wouldn't put him in an Oscar winning film.
Wasn't he just in
I haven't.
fucking I forget the name of them. I think he was in a huge I don't know. I don't think it's
But he wouldn't be like the first on the list, is my point. So it makes it hard for him to get his foot in the door when you would rather have, say, Leonardo DiCaprio come in to do a role. He wouldn't get given the time of day because he does very specific things. It's kind of a stigma kind of thing. I think
I
it's
don't
I
know.
don't
I
think it's
disagree
as
with that.
damaging as that, but it's something to keep an eye on and keep mindful of, because he vented his frustration out on Twitter about it, of being like, look, man, this shouldn't be in the state that it's in, because he's come and he's put his 100% into it. He's done his bit, and everyone else has let him down. I can understand that frustration. I think it's just
No,
unfortunate.
yeah, totally. I just think with film, the actors are like if not the most important part of the film, like the second or third. Whereas in games, you're like the 10th. You know what I mean? So you can put on the performance of a lifetime, and if nobody fucking wants to play the game because the gameplay shit, then it's like, I don't think that's going to reflect negatively on his like long-term potential to get jobs or anything. I mean, when people look at Mafia 3, uh, people talk about that role as like fucking best in class for that generation. And it's not like he delivered a great role here. He acted his ass off. I don't think he's yeah, I would be surprised if we still were like, 5 years from now and he was unable to get work.
I don't think you'd be unable to get work. It's just getting your foot into higher profile roles and stuff like that. It's a lot harder when you're tied to bad products, which is of no fault of his own.
I guess, but I mean Troy Baker's been in some shit games. I don't it's just a lot different in games.
So where you ranking it?
I will put Mind's Eye in the didn't finish bad. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad game.
I
It's like,
was gonna say it's taking you a while to come to terms with that.
If I'm being honest, I don't have the the tiers pulled up. I'm trying to remember what the fuck they are. It's men bad, right? Those are the
Yeah,
two with the
I don't even.
okay.
I think it. I don't think this is even a meh game.
No, it's a poorly made
Um,
game.
yeah, unfortunately. And the thing that before we move on, this is also damaging to people who want to try and ape that GTA product. This is another thing where you've put another brick into the wall of building up that impossible task of ever coming toe to toe with it.
We probably should talk about that for a second because I do think that that might be a big takeaway here. It's like it, as much as I want it to come back, it might should kind of stay with just Rockstar. I don't know if this you either have to sacrifice the fidelity or the freedom. And like with Mafia, they're sacrificing the freedom. The Precinct sacrificed fidelity. And I think you're able to make something with more restraint.
Mhm.
But if you're this sacrificed fucking everything and wasn't able to get it, like Cyberpunk sacrificed a lot and wasn't able to took away, it's like you you just might need $700 million to make one of these and have it be what people are expecting, and nobody's able to do that except Rockstar. So it's like it bums me out. I This is my favorite subgenre of games by a country mile. But I don't know if the budget is there for anybody else to really do this.
Yeah, you only have two more left in your lifetime at this rate,
No shit.
because
Yeah.
they're only gonna get longer to make. Um,
Yeah, no chance I'm hitting 60, so that's a fucking wrap.
Alrighty. Um, what have I got? I'll stick within that kind of realm of it's not pure positivity. There is a bit of negativity here. Space Marines remaster. It's been getting
Interesting.
kind of mixed takes on it. I I didn't mind it personally. It's a game that I loved from way back when. It's also the fact of this is day one Game Pass, so I didn't fork up money for this, so therefore it's a lot more easier to swallow. If I was on PC, I would have probably been mildly pissed because it's the type of thing of where they're being asked to pay full price for a game in which a lot of the features they could probably already get through like a mod and stuff like that. You're talking 4K. There's been very little improvement in the game. And on top of that, I was positive to hear that they kept the multiplayer. I didn't think that they would have kept it peer to peer, but they have done that. They've cheaped out on that, and it's been massively like negatively reviewed on Steam for many of them reasons. And I think they're even offering refunds now, like mass refunds, because it's just in a poor state for what you would expect. And I think it's because it's that glaring comparison of going from Space Marine 2 to back to this. They should have at least offered servers, even if it's just a small handful of them. Because it's a terrible thing. Even on Xbox as well, when you was loading into matches, it would just crash again on the multiplayer. Boot you to home screen. It was difficult to invite a player and have them stay in your lobby. The connection is just terrible. Even when you're in the lobby, there's a lot of lag and stuff like that because it's just peer to peer. So if somebody, and it doesn't seem like it has that intelligent peer to peer thing where it's prioritizing whoever has the best connection. It's just whoever loads in first. And therefore, if they're sticking around game after game, they are next in line to be given it. So it will rotate to them. And yeah, but the story is the same as it was all the way back when. It's just a fun. I think you would enjoy going through and playing through the story because it's just that kind of evil west, stupid, over the top action. Um,
I booted it up and I just wanted to make sure, everything was functional and downloaded and all that. I do that a lot with Game Pass games. I download them, boot them up, make sure there's no more updates required, anything like that. So I
mhm.
definitely I downloaded it and I have intentions on playing it before the end of the year. I liked Space Marine 2 a lot.
Did you finish Space Marine 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Finished,
So
finished
it
2.
will
Definitely want to.
fill in gaps of that story for this game. Um, the reason he ended up where he ended up, and it's the thing as well of like Space Marine 2 is a great game, but this game had so much more variety in enemies as well from the factions because there wasn't the whole pushing point of Space Marine 2 was that horde based, like the amount of enemies on screen because it targeted the Tyranids and stuff like that, which is impressive. But having multiple factions fighting over this planet, there's four factions wrestling for control. It was cool to go back to that. It's a very pretty game for how old it is as well. Um, my only complaint, really, because it's a game that means so much to me, so it's difficult to be harsh on it. I'm much more softer on it, but something that's important to me is obviously listening to audio logs and stuff. The audio mixing is terrible for that. I don't understand why we still like that should have been an easy fix. I don't understand how you're walking through an environment and you pick up an audio log, play it, and you're able to move with it. So therefore, the game is telling you, oh, you can move and listen to this. So don't worry, you're not going to miss any. And then a character will begin talking, and then it overwrites the audio log. So the audio log is basically you can't hear it. And by the time that character's finished saying whatever sentences that is eaten into that, like that irritates me. That seems like it would have been a very easy fix. Um, but other than that, yeah, it's just back to the 2010-11 game.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna jump into it at some point. We're slammed with shit releasing and backlog stuff kind of piquing my interest, and but I definitely do want to check it out and just kind of go through that story. What about location variety? That was one of the things I was a little bit bummed out with in Space Marine 2. I love the spectacle of Gears of War, and I didn't really feel the spectacle of Space Marine 2. Visually, it was stunning, performance-wise, great. High fidelity cutscenes, like it was impressive on a technical level, but there was something about that kind of air of holy shittedness when I'm playing Gears of War. I'm like, oh my God. You look off into the environment, you're going through some big hulking enemy's mouth and having them shit you out or something. I don't know what the fuck.
No, no. I'll be honest with that. No, there's not really. The thing is you have a lot more of that spectacle in Space Marine 2.
Oh
Um,
wow.
when you have that instance with the Drake and the Dreadnought and stuff like that. There's bigger moments in Space Marine 2 than there are Space Marine 1.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, but again, it's a product of its time.
Right.
It was the reason I'm not as harsh on it is because this was the very first time Games Workshop it felt actually took something seriously with their IP that wasn't a strategy game. That's why I'm much more warmer on it than a lot of other people because it was like, wow, they're actually going to take it seriously. They're actually going to give us games that gamers want, not just strategy games. Which, of course,
Right.
that's a massive part of the games and IP's identity is strategy. It's a tabletop, but you have so much more potential here. It's why that people have been yearning for a TV show, a movie, and stuff like that for so long. Um,
Isn't it Henry Cavill?
he's meant to be directing a Horus Heresy TV show, I believe, which I
Sweet.
can't wait for because as well, Horus Heresy is probably the best thing to give because they don't focus on it in the games. That event has happened. That's part of like a 60 plus novel book series which explores that. So seeing that actually happen would be so 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 cool. Um, so yeah.
I don't remember who did this. I think it might have been the Ringer Movies podcast or something, where they had like a cool movie ranking or cool character ranking or some shit. That is so confusing to me. The like identifiables of what makes something cool. Cool athlete ranking. They did a cool athlete. That was Pablo Torre Finds Out, I think is what where they did that at. And I wanted to do something similar with you because there's something about Warhammer that is like, why the fuck doesn't it have the Gears of War level cool appeal? Because War it's the same,
Mm.
like it's so fucking cool. all the like it's you're slaughtering shit. It's the most manly fucking masculine alpha like broy. It has all the broy energy, but it seems like none of the broy fan
I
base.
have.
Or not none of the broy fan base, but you know what I'm saying?
I
Like
was
it
about to
doesn't
step in.
have
I was
that.
gonna be like, hold on. It's okay. So do you know how Dungeons and Dragons kind of took off um, in America and stuff like that? That it was American based, whereas Games Workshop is UK based. It struggled so hard to break out into global worldwide market. It took them so long, and it found its footing in the UK where it originated from, and Germany is a massive, big proponent of Warhammer and stuff. So it's only been recently where they. This is why I was saying it was so important for them to do these games because this is mass appeal. This appeals a lot more to a majority audience than a Total War game does,
Exactly. Yeah.
and people are beginning to warm up to that. You saw the success with Space Marine 2. That broke into numbers they never probably would have expected. It's hence why, like, nothing against Saber, they're not top of the line developer and stuff like that. So they've gone in there and gone, let's be smart. We'll
Oh,
go
hey
get a
Loon,
budget developer.
something. Hold on. So, you went totally silent.
Did I?
I cannot hear you at
Can you
all.
not?
Hold, I can now. I can now.
That's very strange.
It- oh shit! It might be my internet.
Okay. We'll pause.
Oh, but just keep it going. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay. Um, I've completely forgot my point.
You were saying that it broke out in
Oh yeah,
the UK and then Space Marine
they
2.
grabbed Saber and being very smart with that, and that's obviously propelled them to the success and stuff like that. I think as well a big thing of it is also why you see there's a ton of people that probably would want to get into Final Fantasy as an example, but there's so much of it. Where do you begin?
Right.
So with the Warhammer
Right.
universe, you have, like I said, that Horus Heresy. That's 1,000 years of history that they cover in all them books. That when somebody who enters the hobby for the first time and they're like, oh, what's this, what's that, and you have someone like me or Lola be like, oh well, it began in the Horus Heresy, this whole thing, and the hundreds of years, these all battle encounters, and they're like, okay, but what's going on now? And then you have all this other new history because it's a history that's constantly being pushed forward. The story is constantly evolving and adapting as they push forward with the stuff. I think that it's just keep doing this. Make more mainstream appeal games. Make
TV
make
shows
TV
and
shows, exactly. Make more of that and make sure it's not low budget because they've done this before. They did the Final Fantasy thing where they were like, okay, we'll make a movie. And they made the Ultramarines movie. And don't get me wrong, I love that movie. It's an animated movie. Majority of people that pick that up are going to be like, holy shit, this animation is whack. Like, it's bad.
right.
It's really low quality in comparison to a lot of things. So I think they just need to zone in on, pick with the people who made the Robocop game. Get somebody on that scale to make you a single player Warhammer experience. Maybe do it from the perspective of a guardsman. So they're
Yeah.
not hulking and just because there's so much. The thing as well is people look at Warhammer and fixate on the Space Marines. There's so much more in that series than just that. There is horrific shit that goes on in this universe, but a lot of the
Yeah.
time you don't feel that because you're a 10-foot tall superhuman with 3 hearts, 2 lungs, and a massive power axe. Like, you don't feel that threat. So
Yeah, we need to. We have a million different content ideas, but we need to do something like that, like a cool game draft. And it's kind of the whole idea, even with when their show Pablo Torre finds out, it was like acknowledging it's four dorks who are drafting cool athletes, and the athletes are like infinitely cooler than any journalist. And it's the same thing, like the fucking obviously, we're not the gold standard for cool, so that's kind of that would be part of the fun is like, what the fuck do we find cool? What do these two damn dorks find to be cool? But yeah, it is a really interesting thing where, well, like, what does it take? Like, what are the, because I, not to we'll save it for if we ever do that. Um,
Well, I mean, as
Okay.
because you were saying about the cool fact, there's a lot of people who think it's not cool. They
No, that's what I'm saying.
and it,
Is
I don't understand it, but I to a degree, but then I do as well because when you do, if somebody's gone in and read some of the novels, if you're trying to look at it through the perspective of seriousness, you will not find a lot of fun here.
no, but
It is a stupid universe. It
I'm saying like outside view. It's not even not the people on the inside. The outside view it as like this nerdy thing where it's like you're ripping skulls apart and fucking
Yeah,
gory
because
blood crushing.
they've had experiences with the story beats and stuff like when it's been shown to them of stuff. When they've looked at it and been like, that's corny as shit. Or that
Right.
doesn't make any
Got you.
sense. Or why would they do and it's just like what you need to think of this, the perfect example and comparison is it's Spartan. It's as if a Spartan wrote this story, where that was
Right.
a warrior based society. They cared nothing else other than just war. And that is what this is. That's their motto. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. None of this is intelligent decision making on anyone's part. They just live in constant turmoil and they just live in that cesspit. And yeah, if you can enjoy that, you can enjoy that.
It's really interesting because it should be the most mainstream appealing fucking it's cool as shit. Like Play
It's
Space
like
32 it's like
Fast and Furious, kind of on that level
yes,
of just
it
stupid
literally
absurdity. Yeah,
100% it would absolutely be received the exact same way. Just popcorn fucking action film. Like I don't it that is really weird to me how that's one of the most bizarre instances of something being perceived so different than what the actual product is. But um I guess do you want to did you put that in
I
the
think I
what tier
ranked it.
did you
I
put?
didn't rank it.
Okay.
Ah, brother, where do we go? Um, hmm. I will ding it for the fact that they've re-released it and asked full price, and that multiplayer stuff isn't it. Because in my mind, if you're going to re-release, remaster something, that the whole it's in the word remaster. It's meant to be the
Hmm.
best possible thing. You know, the best way of playing it, the best. It's between B and C. I'm gonna go C. I'll be a little bit harsher on it because it shouldn't have been peer to peer. That's inexcusable. The amount of money that you squeezed out of Space Marine 2, you can throw that game a handful of servers. So that's that.
Well, if you'll pop open that chat that I sent you from before, I think it should be the first link is Neon Apex, I think. And I think that should lead us into the next ranking, if I'm not mistaken.
We will see. Paste and go. Neon Apex, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. So this is like a racing game that released kind of out of nowhere that I jumped into. Just saw it on the PlayStation Store. I'm still doing the thing where I'm hunting the indie games, trying to put together a list for you guys for an upcoming video of just like legitimate hidden gems, indie hidden gems that people are not talking about that are really, really good. This is one. This is really, really fucking good. And when I read the description on PSN, it said it was talking about the story. So I was like, oh, racing game with a story. This is kind of exactly what I've been looking for. I've been talking about it on the channel forever. I want a racing game with a legit story. Uh, dude, if you like fucking Metal Gear Solid 2 and Expedition 33 and listen, I'm of course the presentation is god awful. It's a very low budget game. It's just still images, reading text. I get it. Don't buy the game if that puts you off. But holy shit, the story in this game is crazy, dude. Fucking crazy. Where they go with the narrative in Neon Apex. Um, I won't even really. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into but it's if you like Metal Gear Solid 2, if you like Expedition 33, if you like those style of themes, Neon Apex is touching on similar topics in really, really interesting ways. And it's just a testament to if you are willing to sit there and take in the visual novel sort of presentation, the still images, the text bubbles, and you're able to digest information that way, you really can find some fucking incredible writing out there in the indie game space. And I would definitely say this is in that realm of really strong writing in the indie space. So, it is a video game though, and you are going to be doing some racing. Um, you have motorcycles and different cars, and you got a garage. You can go in and tune up your cars and customize your cars, and then you have NOS where you hit like these turbo runs, and it fills up your NOS tank, and then you blast pads. It's very simple. The racing structure is very simple. At least I mainly just played the story mode, and that's the thing as well. They have tons of modes: story mode, career mode. Those are two different things. The story mode's like an hour long, 2 hour long, just deep story, a lot of story. And then the career mode is like you go through and you level up, and it's more structured around the upgrading of the cars and the fine tuning of the cars and leaning into that more than the story beats. Um, and I really like that design choice of it reminds me how Madden used to have the story mode, and I think they called it long shot. And then they also had the career mode where the story is 100% story. Career mode is 100% progression. Um, Career mode's a good podcast sort of thing to just you tune out, do some races, have some fun. It's once again not the most mechanically complex racing you've ever seen in your life, but it's fast, it's fun, and it's just a really, really, really interesting story from a genre that does not often have really, really interesting stories. And it is I would say, i- right now, out of the indie games I've played this year, it is definitely somewhere in my top 10. Like this really stuck with me as one of my top 10 favorite indie games of the year. And I play a lot of fucking indie games. I am constant like there's a ton that I played recently that I haven't talked about just because, if I'm being completely real, when I come here to do this ranking, I try to put together a list of games that have enough substance to actually talk about. And not trying to be mean, but there are a lot of indie games out there that
Yeah.
just they got a cool fucking box art on them, a cool, image promotional material, and then you play the game and it's like, yeah, there's nothing here to even discuss. I don't even really want to put this on the radar of our audience. Um, and so, yeah, Neon Apex is a game I absolutely do want to put on your radar. And I got one more on here that we'll talk about in a little bit. But Neon Apex is really good. I did finish the story. I haven't finished the career yet. I don't know if you can finish the career. I'll put the story in specific on the. Hmm, I will go B tier for this. It couldn't climb into A, but I don't think I could push it into C. The gameplay, like I said, is nothing extraordinary, but the story is extraordinary enough to get it into that B tier. C tier gameplay, probably A tier story, and really bad presentation. So I don't know. That makes up to a B in my weird mathematical equation.
Yeah, I think it's also just important to, you know, indie games. You're viewing it through the scale of an indie game as well, not
And I paid indie game price,
exactly.
.
So to some people, they'll look at that and be like, Outlaws, oh, that's above one of the Outlaws DLCs and stuff. But it's like there's a different compartmentalization of trying to work that out when it's an indie game compared to a full priced AAA or a DLC and stuff like that.
Oh well, listen, it's the bummer that I can't just recommend people to play fucking the pirate Star Wars pirate DLC because they'd have to play 70 hours of other shit first. But that pirate DLC fucking goes hard, dude. That shit is so good. I think if people could just play that, I think people would really dig that thing. But Ubisoft going Ubisoft.
That
I
they
don't think
will.
you can play that. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think you can play that standalone. I know you can't play Wildcard. No, you definitely can't play it standalone because you
Mm.
had, yeah, no, I don't think so. Wildcard, I know you can't.
All right, so back to me.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why I picked this back up, but I did. Hogwarts Legacy, didn't finish it at launch. Kind of fell off it a little bit. Didn't hate it, but it didn't hook me like it did. I think you went through and you played through and finished it. You didn't get distracted by anything, right?
Yeah, no, I completely dove into that thing. Hogwarts Legacy, I really, really dug that.
Yeah. So it still isn't the thing of like like this is what everything I'd want from a game in the old Potter universe, but it's almost there. There's a lot of stuff here that they've done really well with, and that should be commended. Um, I'm enjoying it. About I don't know, about 8 hours in, I basically just scrubbed the save and went back in because it's that thing like you go back and you're like, I don't remember any of these fucking abilities. There's there's so many things. There's mounts. There's all this. There's collectible, and it's just like I'll do the CRPG thing and I'll just start again. And I'm glad I did, because you also get a little bit different of an intro when you do different houses, which is nice. So there is a mild bit of replayability to a degree in them opening sections. Because I believe I went Hufflepuff the first time, and then this time I went Gryffindor. Just played it safe.
Oh,
Um,
Hufflepuff ass.
I just went with when it was asking me questions. I was just like, yeah,
No,
man,
I
I
know.
won't argue with the hat. The hat knows, you know, Mister Hat. But yeah, it's it's definitely the thing of like, I can't remember what was on the list that we with Death Stranding on, like when you're building on something. Like I'm much more excited to see what they cook up with the sequel, because if they just play it safe, I will be disappointed. If it's just going to be the like basically the same thing, I want to see a little bit more
Yeah.
ambition. Um, what I would love more than anything, because this is the thing where I think I'm divided than a lot of other fans. I actually really loved the Fantastic Beast films. I don't know if you are familiar with them or if you've watched any of them.
Mm-mm.
They did the Harry Potter series and then they did them afterwards, and they are like prequels almost. They don't have anything to do with Harry Potter. They're following different characters and stuff. But it was really interesting to like explore the United States and stuff like that. Like it explored places outside of England to be like, there's something Fallout for me, in my opinion, also needs to do. Like break out of the United States, show what's going on in China, show what's going on in the UK or Germany or something, because it gives you a much greater respect for the world that they're crafting, because there's different rules when you go to America and stuff like that that they implemented. And I thought that'd be really cool if they had you visit a different location that played by different rules when you're playing in it. I think that'd be the bit of spice that would get me a little bit more invested. But they did an incredible job of rebuilding Hogwarts, first and foremost.
Yeah,
Like
they
it
did.
is to a T of placing things exactly where they need to be placed. Just having that knowledge of what you would want to happen when it happens. Just animations, characters talking, the paintings, the people that you see in the films appearing, Headless Nick and stuff like that. So yeah, really cool. Haven't played it for for about a week and a bit. I'm hoping that I've not. It's such a weird thing because you don't when you bounce off of games and you've put them down, it's not intentional most of the time, right? It just happens. It's natural. I'm hoping this isn't another like a stall moment. I do want to play for it. There's just so much other shit. But yeah, I will
Where would
rank.
you rank it, my friend?
I would rank it and didn't finish, of course. Um, I think it's a good game. I don't fall. I still don't fall in the realm of great with it. Unfortunately, if that upsets people, apologies there.
Didn't finish good tier?
Yeah, so it's a good game, just not
Well,
great.
let's kind of stay in that realm of didn't finish good because I did you finish that Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon game?
No, I'm even shorter in that. I think about 4 hours.
Okay, I'm somewhat similar in that same range. So if you wanna, we can chat about Tainted Grail real quick.
Hmm.
Where do you fall on that one? Just as a
Much
quick
harder,
ranking.
much harder.
Okay. So I'll let you the positivity lead because the game I just had fucking game breaking experiences, like game breaking bugs with it.
And this is we can highlight that immediately. This is the problem with modern gaming, isn't it? Is when you want to be a day one adopter, you usually get punished for stuff like this. I didn't purchase this because when did this came out? Like February, right? It was or
I have no
March.
idea.
Like it's been out a few months now. I've only just picked it up this past month. So for me,
No, it just came out to console because I just picked it up too. It hasn't been on console. It might have been on PC.
I think it's been out a few
Um,
months now because it came out round about the same time that Oblivion came out, didn't it?
I don't think so, man. Well, Oblivion's somewhat recent as well.
Yeah, but it's been out a
Um,
few months. That's what I'm talking about, of just having a few patches.
yeah, but I liked the game up until I ran into the game breaking bug. I was really enjoying this shit a lot. I thought the combat was really interesting. I think this idea of indie teams making fucking Scrolls clones
Yeah,
or
it's been out 3 months.
Scrolls likes or on console.
Yeah, Xbox
Oh
released on the
shit.
30th of March. Because I didn't jump in day one. I bought it on sale. It was when I picked it up. It had already been deducted in price. Because I
Oh
didn't buy it day
damn.
one
Yeah.
because I was looking at it and I was like, I appreciate like their ambition. I don't think it's gonna be polished. And I was tuning into Co Carnage and he was doing his whole playthrough of it. And he was like, "Man, this is great. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was waiting for Payday to come, and I was gonna, "Oh, I'm gonna grab it then." And then he was like, "I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to avoid this game for now." He hit like Act Three, and he was like, "It's there's been things that I can tolerate." And then he was like, it's like a progression block. Like you can't run in. He's basically it was similar to like me with Avowed. Like it just you can't recommend something like that when you run into something like that. But for
Yeah.
me, I haven't run into anything with like crashing and stuff like that. The worst I've experienced is just a bit of chugging. Um, in some areas, like when you go out into when you come out of that tutorial area and you land on that mainland for the first time, and it's obviously probably spawning everything in and getting all the ball. It chugged big time. But other than that, I've had a fairly positive experience with it.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened to my I came into this area and they were like, you have a bounty on your head, and then they threw me into some like arena fight, and then like I couldn't get into the actual arena, and then so I kept on reloading the save, and then there was eventually I could get into the arena and I killed the fuckers, and then I and then the game crashed after that, and then I went back and I did the quest or I got the quest from the person, and as soon as I left the quest, they put me back into the arena. They said I had a bounty. I was like, okay, I'm now. So it hit early access March 30th, and the full release was on May 23rd, 2025. So it's been out a little bit,
Mm.
over a month on consoles. But it was on PC March 30th. Um, yeah, it's so I mean it's still fairly early in terms of
Oh yeah,
patch
yeah.
patching and all of that. It's uh, I I know that it's more so a PC audience thing than a console audience thing, so I do get that. But at the end of the day, you release the game, you charge fucking what 49.99 or 50, like close to $50. People are paying $50 for can be completely broken experience for some. Like that's that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it fell in the lower. It was like the I think it's about the same price Remnant asked for their games, so it's not full AAA, but it's the thing of it's expensive enough to the point where you can't like with a cabinet, like you can give them a lot more of a leniency and benefit of the doubt, being like, okay, that was only like 15 or whatever. This is very very much still a premium price product, and yeah, it's a smaller team as well, so there is that balance. It's they are trying to basically make Oblivion again with what they have, and it's a small European, I think Polish based. developer, which is awesome to see. Another Polish-based RPG developer kind of clawing their way up. After CDPR kind of broke through that and made themselves mainstays in the industry. Hopefully, this can be their little niche that they carve out, because the Elder Scrolls fans and stuff like that don't get nearly enough, titles. It's been, yeah, you can say Oblivion got re-released, but if you're talking mainline entries, they've not had anything since 2011 with Skyrim.
Yeah, this is actually something that an indie team can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This is something that like I'm surprised there haven't been more or scrolls likes or scrolls
Scrolls
clones or
like,
whatever the fuck you want to call it, because this is something that is achievable
yeah,
by smaller teams. Obviously, point being with this game, but it's obvious as well, like it's busted as fuck, but so are the Elder Scrolls games when they release.
yeah. Um, Pretty challenging game as well. I don't know if you felt that.
Yep.
It was the type of thing where they're balancing 50% of like an Elder Scrolls experience and then a 50% of a Eurojank, of where like how Piranha Bytes has that mentality of you start the game off and you are a weak character. Because there's a bunch of, especially in that, even the tutorial, they throw in like an elite enemy if you end up finding him. I don't know if you found him, who has a fawned helmet, and he is brutal to fight, because his innate thing is every time you're dealing damage to him, he just deals free damage back to you because his helmet is fawned, so he has innate fawns, and it's just like, wow, okay, this game means business. And when you do get out into that open world, it just will happily kick your teeth in at any time with some of the combat encounters. But to me, I rate that as a positive, because it shows that when you're getting stronger, you do feel like you get stronger, and that's something that I value. It's what I loved about Piranha Byte games, as to what they did so well. The the fact as well, I think everybody's voice acted. I don't think I've run into anybody who isn't voice acted, so thumbs up to that. That's expensive to have done. And it's not only that they're all voice acted incredibly well as well. Very, very well done. Trying to think if there's anything else. Dude, the music, the menu music goes so hard. And when you finish the tutorial, they play that song, and it's so damn good. Obviously, everyone knows by now how much I love soundtracks in games. But yeah, really excited to dive into this. Much more excited than I was about Oblivion's remaster, because also the fact that this is like Arthurian legend, but the dark Arthurian legend, there's not enough of that, man. Especially in this setting of a genre. Like, we've had a few tactical strategy based games, but not like a Scrolls like, as you said.
Mm. Yeah, the art direction as well. Gotta praise it for the art direction. When you first step out of that prison, it's like, what the fuck? You're talking about like these kind of floating islands or some shit
Yeah,
and like the backdrop of the sky. Like it is beautiful. I mean, it's once you get out of that and you're into the open world, at least that first open world section, it's like, okay, yeah, this is typical kind of, there's nothing overly impressive there in terms of just the scale or anything like that, but it is still a really, really pretty game, especially for the size of the team and it is and it's, listen, it's not Avowed Dying Light or whatever. Like, it's not that level of first person combat, but it is for sure better than the Elder Scrolls combat system, for sure, without a doubt. Like, being able to dash forward and then, like, drive your fucking dagger into an enemy. Like, there's some real cool kind of momentum based attacks and momentum based defensive maneuvering. And, like, it just, you feel like you have more control over your character.
yeah, an actual parry mechanic, a fully fledged
Yep.
parry mechanic. So yeah, it's that, like you said, this is something that they can achieve. So it's kind of a head scratcher as to why Bethesda's dragging their feet so hard. If I'm being honest, I think like maybe just scale back your ambition. Look at what your ambition got you with Starfield. Is that really worth dragging this out over a decade to try and
That is
achieve?
true, man.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe just bottle that and just be less ambitious. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
No,
because
I mean, I think you could.
this is less ambitious than Skyrim was when it came out, but people are resonating with this because they have it. Whereas with Elder Scrolls 6, it's a dream. It's a thought fluttering in the air. You know, people would rather have something than have nothing.
I think you could make a serious argument that Starfield would have been better received if it was just less ambitious. Like if it was just
Yep,
7 planets or fucking 10 planets or whatever, and they were all densely populated
yep.
with a lot to do and a lot to see. Like I think that would have resonated a lot more with people. But yeah, I think the infinite planets, thousand, like all of that shit is kind of what killed the game, especially now that it's not getting a ton of mod support. But where would you rank the taint? Where would you rank the taint, my friend?
So how are we handling this? Are we gonna
I'm gonna
go
let
in? Are we
positivity
gonna go in the middle, or are we gonna go off of what's the most positive? What?
go most positive for sure. Because for
Okay,
me, I would say didn't finish meh, but I'll let you take it away.
okay. So for me, it didn't finish. It's literally grabbing its fingers onto great, but it falls down into good for me. It's so close that it needs a few patches to tweak things, and I hope DLC, because it's the type of thing of like that's perfect. Add more crazy crap onto it and stuff like that. I think that would be very good. And if they
I,
can, mod support.
I also I want to. This is something that I've thought about making a video on, but it's like it feels so rude. We don't talk enough about how buggy indie games are. Just like indie games, bro.
Yeah,
People shit on
they get
AAA.
free passes so often.
They're bro. People shit like Mindseye got killed, crucified. There is Mindseye is infinitely less buggy than Tainted Grail for me, for my personal experience. It's a worse game, no doubt, but it's way less buggy. Um, and then something like to a T, a game I was loving ran into a game-breaking bug. Cabernet had game-breaking bug. Like indie games are loaded with fucking bugs, man. And it's I get it, they're cheaper, but this one is not fucking cheap. That's an expensive buggy game, but it's got a lot of promise.
Yeah, it's what I'll even say as well to further that point is they released this in early access on PC, so you've had the benefit of the doubt of polishing this up before pushing
Mm,
this product out.
right.
So you know, a little bit more shade put its way. I think it's definitely in a much better state than since when you played it, and also I don't know how much of it's dependent on platform. Because remember when Jedi Survivor came out, you went
Yep.
through it
Fine on
flawlessly.
PS5.
You went through it flawlessly. You didn't really run into anything.
Totally.
I couldn't play it. It was unplayable.
Was this on Game Pass?
What Tainted Grail?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I was about to say that would make some sense. But well, fucking to a T was on Game Pass and it had a game breaking bug. And I
So
loved that game. But yeah.
I think, especially for Tainted Grail, they, you know, you have the money. Probably employ more QA and implement them things. But yeah, I think that is a good thing to point out. Indie games do inherently release with more bugs, but seem to get free passes.
Well, let's kind of stay right there in that fantasy space because after playing Tainted Grail and falling off of that, I was like I was vibing with the atmosphere, vibing with the world, and it's like I do kind of want to be in this pocket right now. I'm not a fantasy guy, and also while playing Tainted Girl, there was a part of me where I know you like the story quite a bit. You were saying I was like, all right, this is I'm not really vibing with this story much at all, but I liked the setting, the world. Like I'm saying, I dug the there was that space I just kind of wanted to be in, but I wanted a more like linear directed story. So I jumped into Telltale's Game of Thrones series. And I was like, so I kind of wanted to put it to the test. I was like, do I just not like fantasy altogether? Is it just a thing where this will never appeal to me ever? Or is it that I just don't like open world fantasy? Fantasy with the whole the trapping of having to spend 70 hours in this universe and not kind of getting to the story and like all of the other things. So I was like, let me check this out. And I've never watched Game. I watched a little bit of episode one of Game of Thrones, so I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. There's no sort of I don't come in with any bias one way or the other. I jump in immediately. Was fucking hooked into this. I love this damn video game. I think that this is some of Telltale's strongest work. I don't know why people are so kind of hot and cold on it, or kind of mostly cold on it, seemingly. I thought this was really, really good. I like the whole character swapping dynamic. There's a lot of character swapping going on. I think pretty much every character that you play in this game has an interesting story throughout. I think that the majority of the characters, like, uh, you feel immediately that anybody can live or die because they show you immediately that anybody can live or die. So you're on your toes constantly trying to think, trying to strategize, trying to make sure you're not missing little details or siding with the wrong, person because like, oh shit, was this going to end in this character getting killed? Because spoilers, they kill some of the characters that you control in this game. And that's ballsy as fuck, man. I really appreciated that out the gate. And yeah, I liked this. I don't really have a ton to go into great detail with other than like if we fucking start spoiling the story, but I I thoroughly enjoyed this experience. And I really like because the thing with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I've talked about 100 times. My favorite moment in that game is serving fucking wine
It's
to the
so
different politicians.
hilarious.
I love the political dynamics in that game.
Because it really shows the difference. Because I haven't played it, but I know the moment you're talking about because I ended up tuning into, I think Multismal did a list of like moments he doesn't like in games that he loves and stuff like that. He hated that moment. He hated that so damn much, and it's because he just has that. I think that just RPG mindset head of like it felt so restricted in what you could do because he was talking about how like you can technically, for instance, off some of them characters, but the game will end, and it's a failure state, which feels wrong in a way because in stuff like you can do that with in many CRPGs. If you're in that situation and if you've paid attention to notes, you know that you'd be able to influence that scenario and stuff like that. So it's really funny because it's what you value, isn't it? You like that political intrigue. It's why you've latched on to Game of Thrones so much because it's so much less about sword fighting than it is about the power clashing dynamic of houses and royalty and stuff like that, which makes for very interesting storytelling. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, because you're saying you don't know why people don't gel with it as well. People don't like tuning into stories where they're made to feel uncomfortable because it's the same with like why The Last of Us 2 is so divisive because they did things where they characters people get very attached to characters, so having them offed can sometimes be the thing where people just shut off from it after that. They get so emotionally attached to the point where like I don't like that you did that and I can't accept that. Or in this game's case as well, a lot of the characters are just assholes, but that's so
I
realistic.
love it.
No, exactly, but
Yeah.
it's so realistic in a medieval time. They're not going to be pally pally. It's all about presenting even the villains of this game. You can understand in certain ways why they're doing this stuff because it is a cutthroat world. You can't be friendly and succeed. It just doesn't work like that. Everybody is out to push their house to the top. It is a power struggle. So yeah, I can understand why you really gelled with this because it is just political intrigue. The game.
Yeah, man. And I mean, it's like to your first point, it of the lacking of swords clashing and the lacking of the fantasy, the dragons and the fucking elves and like all this and that. You really don't have any of that for the longest time in the game. It is like strictly political back and forth, the power of negotiation, the power of alliances, and oh shit, these alliances actually aren't alliances because this faction that we thought was our alliance got a better deal elsewhere for this thing, and now they're like all of that shit was really what I was on the edge of my seat to see more of. And just that Forrester, that family, man, it's so I mean, every fucking character that they present to you, like you're trying to manipulate situations from afar even when you're not like actually in the thick of the battle. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like you're off, somewhere far off and trying to make political plays to benefit the Forrester house and to get them kind of back in the prominent leading role of this world, and have them as a power player so that they're relied upon for their craftsmanship for their wood. And you're trying to like strike deals and trying to get different kings and queens to like, okay, well, you cut them out of this deal and you bring us in and we can like all I love that shit so much. And also Telltale doesn't get enough credit for their ability to understand what not to do. Like when you're playing Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, or when you're playing Life is Strange, or when you're playing a lot of those other games from your Don't Nods or from your whoever, you are going to do a lot of shit that is just mind-numbingly dull. And you're going to pick up items super massive. You're going to pick up items and rotate the item and just look at it and put it back down. And there's nothing to glean from it whatsoever. It's just a fucking, a photo on a desk, and you put it back down real slowly. Telltale's like, no, no, fuck all of that. Make choices. We're going to get you to a spot where the story is interesting. You're going to make choices. We want you to stay consistently involved in the narrative. We want you to be curious and interested about what's going to take place next. And then we'll throw a QTE at you. But the QTE is going to take place in a big moment that's going to feel important. It's not going to be, some crazy fucking out of nowhere in a Quantic Dream game. Oh, I got to press triangle at the right time to make sure I open this door for like the refrigerator opening mini game. Like it's nothing stupid. It's just everything feels so purposefully placed. Telltale does not get enough credit for being the absolute master of this adventure game space.
Yep, absolutely. And it's just the biggest thing to glean from this is it's so unfortunate this didn't get a season two. And it never will.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many places that they go with when you get to the end of this game, and it's like, oh, especially having watched the show, it's like, okay, there's some like really cool things that you could, because it's very loosely following the show. There are events that happen in the game that are happening in the show, but they do change things ever so slightly. Um, Take creative liberties is the perfect way of describing it. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate that we're never going to see the conclusion to the Forrester family.
100%, man. Yeah. I dig it a lot. I would rank it probably in the shit, man. I'd drop that in the A tier. I dug the fuck out of this. I really did. Like I don't have many complaints for it whatsoever. I mean, it wouldn't be to me S tier is reserved for like a very, very elite company of games, but I'd say, hey, I dug this. I mean, I would rank it right below. Let's see, Wolf Among Us 1, Walking Dead. Yeah, this would be three
I was
for the
literally about to
Telltale.
ask you that. I was going to say, where would this rank? And there you go. Third place, bronze medal.
Yeah, I like it more than the Tales from the Borderlands. I like it more than Guardians. Oh shit, Batman. I think I like this more than the Batman series.
Yeah, I would personally put it above it as well. And I'm a massive Batman fan. I think Batman's a little bit too slow at times, getting to the
And
point of
dealing
some stuff, and the choices I don't think were executed as well as they probably should in a Telltale game. There's certain stuff where it's like, really? That's where you're going? Okay. I think with Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, them having that um, fallback crutch of everyone's an arsehole, that makes writing a story a lot easier. You have so much more. You can just be very brutal with your storytelling and don't have to worry about people's feelings as well. And I think they
And
knocked it out of the park.
Batman was a prime example of when they, started getting into that bag of like, okay, we want to do a little bit extra. Like, we're gonna have you walk around the Batcave, and like,
Mm.
nobody gives a fuck, dude. Nobody gives a flying fuck. throw a cool story moment in the Batcave. Like that's get to it, and they do such a good job. Jurassic Park, I'd put this above Jurassic Park. So yeah, this would be my third favorite, I think. This is fucking awesome. Really enjoyed it.
So you got two left, and I've got one left. Did you want to knock out the football game first, or I don't know what this is?
Yeah, I think I also
Sun to
put
worship.
yeah, we'll do the football game. I think I dropped that one in the chat as well for our Zoom feed
Okay, give
here.
me one moment.
Maximum Football 25. Um, yeah, I've been following this series for a little bit. I've played a few of the games in the series because I really do want something in that space of the simulation football experience that is not Madden because there is literally no fucking competition to it whatsoever after they bought the exclusive rights
Yep.
from, it's where 2K couldn't compete any longer. And so I check this out from time to time, and they went free to play with this one. Um, I would much rather just pay money for it and not have to deal with the annoying ass shit. You can like play 2 seasons for free and then you got to pay for the third. I'd much rather just throw you $20 and play the full game or throw you $30 and play the full game. Um, my favorite feature from this game is that on defense, when you swap to the safety or the cornerback and try to pick off the ball, your defender like actually leaps in the air and makes a play on the ball, opposed to just like standing still and jumping up to catch it. He'll jump forward or jump backwards or jump to the side. And it feels like you're a little bit more involved on defense than it does in Madden games, which I really appreciate that. That's a feature that I'm stunned. I'm fucking stunned that there's not some like auto awareness for your defensive backs and safeties when you're playing Madden and you switch to them and you try to make a play on the ball and they're just like, nope, we're not going to leap forward. We're going to jump straight in the air. Or we're going to. It's crazy that they haven't fixed that yet. But
This because there's no competition, isn't it? When you
exactly.
have these glaring issues that you identify as the player, they don't have to even address it because where are you going to go to play the next game? Nowhere.
100%.
So
Yeah. And it's like I even appreciate it when it happens to my detriment. Like there was a moment where I leaped forward and tried to pick off the ball and ended up leaping into my own player and before the ball ever landed in the receiver's lap. So like the receiver just landed with a wide open path to score a touchdown. It's like that's fucking excellent. I totally fucked up. I deserve to be scored on and yeah, that's exactly how shit like that should work. They have a dynasty mode where you can recruit players from college. And it's no, my bad. You're recruiting players from high school because it is a college game. The entire game is college. And you can improve your stadiums and facilities and adjust ticket prices and all that. And you're managing your income versus your expenses. And my biggest complaint is that I think the playbook is a little bit lacking. You like from what I played, I don't think there's an option play, which if this is college football, that's a bit insane. So you can't like scramble with the quarterback and then pitch the ball back to the running back or have read options or quarterback options or anything like that, which is a little bit bizarre for a college football game. And there's also no difficulty options, which is a major, major problem for this game because I was beating a team like 73 to fucking 6. And like I'm playing an evenly ranked opponent and it's like, that's not good because what the fuck do I do now? And I just keep beating every team by 80. That doesn't seem like that's going to be fun to anybody. Um and obviously the inverse could be if anybody's struggling with like you should it's a fucking football video game. Everybody should be able to jump into the if you're appealing to a humongous demographic of people who do not play video games at all are going to want to pick this thing up because it's a free to play football game. Like are you come on, guys. You're going to have 7-year-olds who just download this. You're going to have people who play video games all the time download. It's free to fucking play. You got to have options in there for everybody, no matter their skill level. Um, and yeah, it's just that's probably the bigger complaint out of anything, but it's oh, and you can't sim like there's no Super Sim or anything like that, which is it's smaller on the list of complaints, but yeah, it's
Hmm.
I think that they have a foundation here for maximum football. They just they're in them going free to play is kind of an acknowledgement of, yeah, we got a lot of work to do. It's a really tough task for smaller studios to get into the simulation sports space. Like it's such a fucking not enough respect is paid to 2K and to EA and to that is a shit ton of moving parts, a shit ton of work to get that out every single year. I don't like the games either, but like if it was easy to be done, others would be doing it. You know what I mean? There is no exclusive license for NBA whatsoever. EA just can't compete with 2K, so they stopped trying.
Hmm.
Sony just couldn't compete with 2K, so they stopped trying. Xbox couldn't compete with 2K, so they stopped trying. Like the like
You
anybody
can't.
can
They're
go and
so entrenched. They're so. It's why there's a perfect example. FIFA for year after year after year. Like Pez used to be ahead of FIFA, and then the moment FIFA pumped money into it with EA, they overtook them, and Pez couldn't compete. They've never come close to it. And then FIFA, I think they tried to renegotiate their contract recently, and EA was like, "We don't need you. We can sell these games without the name FIFA." And FIFA was like, "Yeah, right. We'll see you next year when you're begging for the license." And they released FC 25, sold same amount of copies, probably more. Like they have a death grip on it. So now when because FIFA's meant to be getting into it and making their own game, they're gonna have no chance. It's not the name, it's the game. That's what it is. So it's really unfortunate that they have death grips on sports games like this because they could do so many good things with this maximum college football game and it still just not mean anything because they also just need as equal like marketing and stuff like that and just being in front of people's faces. And if it's just not, people will just go back to what NFL you said.
yeah, college footballer,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's it's definitely a challenge, but it's also I mean, EA is a little bit in the sketchy realm because they pretty much bought their way to the they bought their way to winning,
Yeah.
um but 2K didn't. And I will always give them credit for that. They just straight up dominated NBA Live
Yep.
to make them they waved the white flag, got out of the NBA business altogether. Um but yeah, maximum football, it's got an okay foundation there. I you know, I can't say I finished it, didn't finish it. I'll throw it in the C tier. It's a competent enough simulation football game. And if you're looking for anything outside of the Madden space, the Madden sphere, this is probably the game with the most potential to hop into. And it's free to play, so just jump in there, see if you like it. There's really no investment needed.
How many of them have they made now? Do you know?
I don't know. It's been quite a few. I've
Oh,
played a
okay.
couple of them.
Who's the developer? As well, one last question.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'll pull it up. Let's see. Maximum. Yeah, I wonder who's funding it.
Mm,
I obviously not a big endeavor, but it is, yeah, they're self-funding and developing Maximum Entertainment.
which is,
Golly,
yep,
man.
that is whew, that is wishful thinking, to put it, bluntly. There's so
Yeah,
much
that
money thrown
sucks.
into sports and stuff like that. It's so difficult to get them off the ground nowadays.
Wait, is this the Among Us people?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna pull this up real quick
I don't
before.
know who made Among Us. Maybe they'll be
Let's
fine then, because
see.
Among Us makes decent money still.
Uh, okay, no, I don't believe so.
No, okay. Well, then they're
Yeah,
doomed.
no, they make really small. They've published a lot of really, really small games. Remothered,
Oh,
Rustler. Yeah, until then, nothing that's bankrolling this for sure.
I mean, best of luck to them. It's commendable to try and take on industry giants in that way, and hopefully they can even just carve out a tiny niche. Um,
1000%, man.
Best of luck to them. Right, back to me, I believe. Right,
Yes, sir.
Mech Warrior 5 clans, I believe. Yep. Um, so big fan of Mech Warrior. Glad that they're making more of these games. It's also, I believe, based on a tabletop, much like Warhammer. So them coming through and pushing these games back out again is nice because I believe they had an RTS game a few years back, but that was PC exclusive. And now this is the second iteration of just a more easier digestible game for a lot of people. You could just pick this up and play it. Really fun, really fun. I enjoy mech games that are of this speed. I don't know if you have you seen gameplay of this.
I don't think so.
So you're not slow, but you're back and forth like that. It's fast enough because the thing is, what I couldn't I'd really tried to get into Armored Core. It's just way too quick. The majority of the stuff that it wants, and I just I can't click with that speed. Whereas this, you feel like you're just a walking tank, and that's kind of like how my brain processes. If I'm thinking of a mech, I'm thinking of that, and it's just really enjoyable. They've gone for the big difference here is they've focused on story, which they didn't do in the previous game had a story, but it was kind of like a backdrop to the noise. Every time you're launching a mission, cutscene, characters talking, like the whole 9 yards, and they've scaled back their ambition of in the previous game it was massive open maps and then placing an objective in it, whereas these a lot of them are like canyons that you're going through. Your characters are talking to each other. You have a full squad of I believe 5 people in total, so they're constantly bantering between each other. It's just a much better. This probably should have been the first game that they put out because obviously first impressions matter. And if you've played that previous game and you see this as the same name, you're like, don't really want more like sandbox stuff. I think you might probably enjoy a bit of it if you just go in and dip in for like an hour, even just trying it out because it's in Game Pass.
Oh, damn, they got
Um,
this and Mecha Break dropping in that motherfucker.
yeah, the thing is,
Interesting.
I think I, I people can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Microsoft have like something in this series, like some kind of finger in the pie, because they published a bunch of the older games themselves, I believe.
I know they had Mech Assault back in the day that was exclusive. I wonder if it's like,
So they've obviously struck 2 Game Pass deals back to back, and these aren't games that did they don't do massive numbers, but they've done BattleTech games, I believe, published in the past, which is what this series is from. So I think you'd probably get a little bit of enjoyment out of it with it being a lot more story based and stuff like that, and they're not long either. The missions they're very quick, 30-ish minutes, 20 minutes to get in and out. So yeah, I've enjoyed it, but playing it co-op with a friend as well, which is also commendable. Full 100% co-op from start to finish. Not enough games do that. Usually they have you go do the tutorial and you go do and that really breaks the dynamic when you're wanting to co-op a game. So don't know
where
where
would
I
you
would
rank that bad boy?
rank it. Not finished, that's for certain. Um, yeah, it'd probably go in the good too. I think it's a good step. They've got steps that they still need to make. They streamlined things a little bit too much for my liking with the customization of the mechs. Like they've turned them into like Call of Duty loadouts, which you can go in and manually tweak, but it's just a pain to do much more than it was in the previous game. But yeah,
All right.
didn't finish good.
Nice. Well, I'll close out real quick here with No Sun to Worship. This is inspired by Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, an indie third-person stealth-focused third-person shooter. And for some reason, the premise of the game, you're going into these facilities where people are being held captive,
Hmm.
and instead of going in and freeing them, you go in and kill them. I don't really,
Oh.
I don't know if I missed something for why that's the case, that you're
Uh,
killing captive prisoners, but sure.
they're probably obviously on your side, I would assume, but they've been captured. Therefore, it's you eliminate them so they don't spill knowledge. I'm trying to think of the name
Yeah,
of it. It's like KGB stuff, isn't it? Where they off
yeah.
people. That
That
would
that
be my
that
guess.
yeah. Jeffrey Epstein simulator. I guess that could be somewhat that could be somewhat fucking feasible there. But yeah, it's an okay game. It's took me maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that to finish it. It's
What a
fair.
mission goal. Two people remain unpunished as you try and walk through that door. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's I mean it's a little dark for sure. But I'm down for brutally fucked up shit. I'm always curious of the manhunts of the world and stuff like that to see what kind of what boundaries they're going to push. I don't necessarily think this does that, and that's the weird thing where on the description on PSN it says like inspired by Kojima, and it's like there's really no story to be found here. They do like a beginning and end cutscene, and that's really all you get for story. So I don't really know how you could be inspired by Kojima without being inspired by the narrative.
Are you crawling through vents?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, that's true. You're inspired by Splinter Cell, Metal Gear style gameplay. They got a good degree of gameplay. And once again, indie developer. And then that's, yeah, I forgive things like you're not able, there's really no melee combat in there. You're not able to, you do have some stealth kills you can do, like manually but it's just you go up and press triangle and take them down. But the shooting is solid. Like the third person shooting is really fucking strong, and they have the whole thing where you can walk up behind enemies and you make them freeze. You draw your gun, and they'll freeze. The whole Metal Gear Solid thing. There's like a noise meter and a sight meter that shows if you're being seen or being heard by enemies. And yeah, it's a fairly challenging game as well. It's you, like real life. If you get shot, you're gonna fucking die. And in this, it's a little bit more forgiving on normal, at least. I think you can get shot maybe 3 times or so before you die. But if you get shot a couple times back to back, you're dead. And I assume on hard, it's you probably get shot once and you're dead. But um, yeah, there's like lockers to hide in. Yeah, there's no free crawl or anything like that, like a Metal Gear Solid, but there are lockers to hide in. Like you said, there's vents you can go and drop down into and come out the other side. And but that's once again, there's not like a free crawl into that vent. The animation has to allow for it. You press the button and then he does the thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, you can shoot the cameras and get around the cones of vision that way. It's got the things. It's the things that make you reminisce about the good old days. It has some of those there, and for like $13, I wasn't bummed out about this purchase. It's not remarkable, but it's a fun enough little game.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, it just feels well, and it's a weird thing to strike a balance of nowadays because when you hear the word indie, a lot of indie developers have been extremely ambitious and punched way above their weight to the point where this people kind of think that that's the bar for a lot of indie. This to me, this screams what an indie game is. It's looking at what came before. You probably aren't there as a developer, but you have inspirations and ideas, and they've done what they can with the skills that they have. I'm
Totally.
sure this is probably either their first piece of work or they haven't put out much work. So, from what I'm seeing, it looks okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, and to their credit, a lot of indie games release in a rough state. I had no issues whatsoever finishing this game. Not a single problem, not a single frame drop bug, weird glitch, nothing. Just completely solid all the way through. So, no sun to worship. I wish there was a little bit more story that kind of bummed me out a bit, but I would drop it in the C tier. Totally competent little fun game.
It ran out of footage and it immediately started playing Mindseye. He had to get in one last showing.
Shout
Sorry,
out.
what did you? Where did you say you put it?
C tier.
C tier. Okay. No S tiers this month. No S
Yeah,
tiers.
nah.
No D tiers either though. Some good mid-range
Rematch
stuff.
rematch is close to us, but it's just too mechanically flawed to really be in there.
And that is the ranking for this month.
Nice. Cool, cool. I know that's a long one. I apologize for the deep dive there, my people. That's gonna be a nice 3 hour one for y'all to chew on. But hey, we can only we try we actually cut our lists
We cut
down.
it. I cut mine in half.
Yeah, I did too. Um so listen, we can't make this a 5 hour thing. So
Nope.
we're trying our best here. We're trying our best here. And so yeah, that's the ranking for the month of June. We hope you all enjoyed it. Let us know down in the comments below what you have been playing in the last 30 days or so. Give us some of your ratings, some of your scores. If there's any indie hidden gems out there that you have played that you recommend for us to check out, let us know and we shall do that or shall try to do that. I don't want to commit, say 100% we're going to play everything you recommend, but we do try. I genuinely do try when y'all drop recommendations. A lot of the time I'm in there checking that shit out. A Tainted Grail was a recommendation that I ended up checking out. So yeah, I always appreciate the feedback, the suggestions, all that good shit. But more so than that, just let us know what you've been playing and a little ranking, rating system, all that. I'm always interested in reading through those. So we greatly appreciate y'all for tuning in. Loon's channel will be linked in the description below. Loon, I appreciate you operating the ones and twos here. And Patreon, YouTube memberships. Check them out if you want some exclusive content or to ask questions or to suggest content ideas for the Ramble and Report. The Ramble and Report? The Ramble Report. That's just I don't know I don't know the name of our own shit. Um we appreciate you guys. Check out all that stuff. Links in the description. I'll probably pin a comment as well for the Patreon and the YouTube membership so you can see it down there. And Loon, you have any parting words before I wrap this thing up and free you from captivity?
No, we both gotta go get rematch fix. We're addicts, so we'll be hopping off soon and
I gotta go grab some fucking food. I'm dying.
smashing some goals in.
We appreciate you guys. Check out Loon's channel in the description. And yeah, we shall see you very, very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.